believe that as an agent, negotiating is a very, very important skill. If you, I mean, think about what our clients, or at least the industry, is trying to go to. They're trying to automate and streamline and have buyers just submit an offer online and have a seller respond and voila, and they get married, right? No, life is not that simple, right? I mean, and I think that's why we have jobs. And you guys are able to see my screen, I hope, yeah? Okay, should be good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why we have jobs, and negotiations are the key to everything. I'll give you a few examples of just realtors I've met in my life that I really admire. I don't remember their names, but any realtor worth their salt is going to feel a deep sense of responsibility for what kind of deal that they negotiate for their client. And I think that's really important. The bad agent only cares about themselves, and it's just whatever it takes to just get me a paycheck. That's not a good approach to real estate. A good agent really, it has to bother you that you didn't get everything you can for your client, either for the listing side, highest price, best terms, shortest close times, or maybe a rent back or a longer close. That should be your goal on the listing side. And on the buy side, I understand it's a crazy market right now, but you're gonna have to, I think right now in this market, if you can just win, that's huge, right? But usually in a market that's more balanced, you want best price, the most terms as possible, longer close times, but obviously you want to get the house, right? So it's a delicate balance between those situations. There's a balance between, now remember, we will be talking about win-win situation. So a lot of people think that winning a negotiation means you basically went out for blood, right? You took everything you could from the other party. That's not actually what negotiations are all about. Negotiations are negotiating a win-win deal where both people feel good about it. And you'll hear that at Keller Williams a lot, right? Having a win-win deal is key. And for those of you that are over here, I mean, you'll hear that, those of you that talk to Bob when you got recruited, I mean, that's how his approach has always been. And that's how I'm sure he'll do this too. We're trying to get a win-win, right? If someone comes in our office and says, well, I want 98% split, I don't want a cap, I want a cap, and then I want to pay no fees. And from our office perspective, so, well, there's no point in having you here because, I mean, we have expenses, right? I mean, it might cost us more money to have you here with us if you're having, that kind of deal, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? So it has to be a win-win deal. So, all right, let's get moving. As you're in negotiating contracts, so I'm sure you're going through Ignite. So this is very, very good. That's why you're here. I want to hear first, this is kind of the agenda for today. And by the way, I'll give you a bathroom break around 10:30. I am targeting us to be done at 10:30. There's not as much material in this, and I think I can cover it. So I do talk a lot, so I might be wrong. We're going to break down the common points of negotiation. There is a 3P model that we'll talk about. Analyze counteroffer tactics. We're going to do some role play. I'm going to have to figure out how we do this. It's not good on Zoom, so maybe I'll have you guys type things in the chat, and we'll do it together as a group. But breaking out in groups, it's too painful. I'm not going to worry about the breakout rooms and all that, but we'll probably do it together, okay? Okay, well, our first exercise on the left here, for those agents that are new, how does this all work? Well, you have a buyer and you have a seller, right? And like I told you earlier, well, why don't we just submit offers online and we don't need us agents, right? That's what all these tech companies are thinking. And I'll tell you why, and I think you guys all know why. Imagine a seller who thinks and loves their house. They've lived in it for 40 years. They've raised their children there. They're super emotional. And on top of that, they overvalue. Sellers always overvalue their houses, always. Their house is the best thing since sliced bread. Market says 2.7. Actually, I had a client. When we met, I said, your house is about 2.6, 2.7. And then when we went to review offers, I got them a 2.7 and a 2.65. And they said, well, Bazillo says my house worth 2.8. And I was expecting 2.8. I said, well, where'd you get 2.8? I never said you're going to get 2.8. But that was in their mind. And it was, oh my gosh, it was so hard to deal with. And that's what I mean. That's a seller. That's just naturally who they are. Now, the buyer is the opposite. The buyer wants the best deal, the best price, the most terms, the longest close time, more time than possible, more ways to back out, the better. And the seller is the complete opposite. Highest price, least amount of terms, fastest close time. They want free rent back, right? these two are completely contrary to each other. And so that's why you need buyer's agent. That's why we have jobs. And this is why this class is so important, because being in the middle is very, very important. Figuring out what this other amount. Remember, we don't really have a vested emotional interest in this deal, right? We're not, this is not our house. We didn't grow up our 40 years of our lives and 8 of our kids. We don't have that. So we are a third party, non-biased. Yes, we do have a little bit of incentive, which is the commission. Now, don't let that drive you ever. Okay, I understand if some of you are new and you need that paycheck. I get it. But never let that drive you, because if the seller or the buyer senses that you are being driven by your commission, they will never use you again, or they'll fire you one way or the other. Okay, you cannot ever be that in that mode. Okay, even if you are, if you're starving, and I get it, but still, you can't do that, because if you do and you're pushing a seller to take an offer that's not right for them, you're violating your fiduciary duty. And worst case, they know it and they'll never refer you again. Or they'll just fire you on the spot. I mean, it's so that never do that. Okay. But again, you have your seller or your buyer's interest in mind, but your job is to work with this agent. And I want to tell you, we're very lucky in the Bay Area. Mostly. Now, there's some agents out there that aren't in this mode. They're very combative and heavy negotiations. But I'll tell you, it's few and far between. I've taken the negotiations course with the Real Estate Negotiation Institute, and they bring instructors from LA. And LA is very combative. Like, the agents do not cooperate, don't work together. They're always trying to, they have an aggressive approach. And so when you have an aggressive approach where both people are just trying to get whatever you can, you can only go into that mode. But if you find an agent on the other side that's like you, who, hey, let's work together to come up with a win-win, then you're in a good spot. And that's majority of the agents in the Bay Area are this way. So thank goodness for that. Okay. Now I want everybody to do a little participating here. I want toss in, see how many people we have here. We have 29. Okay, that's too much for talking. Yeah, 10:30 bathroom break, okay, Anna. All right. I want to throw in some ideas here into the chat. First question: how can your ability to negotiate affect the outcome of a deal? Just throw ideas into the chat. We're gonna do a group brainstorm here. How do you think you make a difference in this process? Rob, you look so relaxed. I'm jealous.
I forgot the video is on. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. Hey, as long as you're listening, I don't care. All right. Hey, toss in the chat, everybody. How can your ability to negotiate affect the outcome of a deal? Bridge the gap between seller and buyer. Correct, Karen. That's probably the most important thing, right? The seller wants 2.7. The buyer wants 2.5, right? As an example. The seller wants too much, wants free rent back. The buyer wants to move in tomorrow, right? So we have to find a happy medium, okay? What else? Justify your jobs to me. Why should I hire you? How is your ability to negotiate going to affect the outcome of a deal? No one else? Just Karen? Anna, thank you. See the big picture and identify priorities. Absolutely, right? What is it that drives folks, right? What's important to them? We make assumptions sometimes, but they're not always right. I've had some weird deals. I'll tell you one story in Menlo Park. We did inspections, and I'll tell you, I never wanted to, I don't like doing this, but somehow our buyer justified $95,000 of work that he thinks needs to be done. So I said, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I mean, how am I going to ask for that? But that's fine. That's my job. I said, okay, yes, there's $95,000 of work. I didn't agree with all of it, but that's not my problem. It's his request. I need to make it happen. So I wrote a giant long email justifying, hey, look at the structural inspector said this, here's the report, that's $45K. The plumber said this, that there's, old pipes, there's a lot of sludge, that's $15K. I put everything and I documented it, and then I try to justify it with documentation. And I said, oh my gosh, either they're gonna just kick us out of the contract or they're gonna meet us halfway, which is okay too, right? That's what I was thinking would have happened, okay? When, what happened? So this seller does not care about money, actually. He's a very spiritual person. He felt that this house was destined for this family because he thought an investor was going to buy this house. In his mind, for some reason, he always thought an investor was going to buy this house. And he didn't want that, but he kind of came to grips that, oh, it's going to be an investor because it was kind of a weird house. No garage, there's some work that needed to be done. Turns out my client, a family, 2 kids, and he was so blessed and happy about that when this was presented to him, I guess he was crying on the phone. The other agent was shocked. She goes, there's a grown man crying on the phone. And she didn't know what to do. And he goes, you know what? He goes, I don't want anything to mess up the fact that this house belongs to this family. I will sign it. So he signed a $95,000 reduction in the purchase price. I was shocked. She was shocked. We were all shocked. And again, I'm just telling you, you don't know what motivates people, right? You think it's money. It's not always money, right? Some people, this guy's owned the house for 30 years in Menlo Park. He's made so much money, he doesn't care, right? An extra 95 to him wasn't a big deal, but it was a big deal to our client, and it all worked out. So again, finding that big picture is really important. And also what's important to people, because not the same thing. Lupita, thank you. Minimize risk. Yes. Liability. Correct. The seller wants a non-contingent offer. Your buyer doesn't. We don't want it on the buy side. We don't want a non-contingent offer, but is it safe to do so? Right. We have to read the disclosures, right? We have to advise and say, hey, I don't feel good about this. This is a giant crack in the foundation. I never like those. So no, we shouldn't. Even if we lose, we shouldn't, right? Protect my clients, understand. Okay, very good. Now, another question. And again, get ready to chat. Start typing. What are some ways that you can negotiate in your everyday life? Tell me, because negotiation is not just about real estate. How do you guys negotiate every day in your life?
Oh, with my kids, with my husband.
Yeah, especially kids.
Yeah.
Kids are so good, right? Kids,
Yeah.
They are so sneaky. What did my daughter do the other day? Dad, can I want to buy an iPhone. You're 10. Why did you buy an iPhone? All my friends have an iPhone. Blah, 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 blah. And it was like, oh my gosh, no, you don't need an iPhone. But, why don't you go do better in school and we'll have a conversation about it, right? Now we negotiate, right? My kids are always negotiating for something. They're so slick too. Dad, they'll blink their eyes. Daddy, can I? No. It's like, don't give me those eyes. Stop looking at me. But yeah, everything's negotiation. Yes, your husband's a negotiation. Your wives are negotiations, right? I mean, my wife, I love my house. My wife keeps wanting to buy another house. Oh my gosh, why are we gonna? No, I don't want to move. Property tax, a beautiful cul-de-sac. Really? So we're always negotiating, right? It's like, well, can I get you a pantry? Can we make a pantry? Can I put the shoes away in the garage? Can we create a new process? I'm trying to negotiate, right? We're always negotiating. So, thank you, Yvette. Keeping my phone in bed while I search Redfin at night. Getting to bed, kids on time. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So tell me some of the negotiators, the best negotiators you've seen. What skill set do they possess? Type it in the chat. Listener. Yes, Yvette. That is actually, well, maybe I'll say there's one skill. Patience. Patience is probably the number one. If you're an impatient person, you're going to have a problem. The people are not machines. So be patient with them. But yes, 2, a listener. You have to listen. You have to listen. And it's not just about, oh, I'm listening to you. And we'll go through this later, is asking the right questions and hearing and also anticipating beyond what you hear to extrapolate to a course of action. Okay. Let's see, relentless and persistent. Yes, especially in this market, Lupita, Anna, correct, right? In this market, you can't just, I text and I emailed and I called the client, the agent, he didn't call me back, so that's it. You can't do that. Everyone's calling the agent, or you need to call, text, email, and then repeat until you reach this person, right? You can't stop. I mean, you need information, right? We had an offer yesterday in Sunnyvale. It was ridiculous. And there's 14 offers, and you got to keep calling and seeing what's going on. I mean, try not to be annoying, but you got to be persistent to get information, because otherwise you don't know what's going on. Well, we lost, unfortunately, but at least we knew kind of what we were up against, right? So you got to be relentless. You got to be persistent. Linda, yes, this is something that realtors can't do. Stop talking and wait for an answer. And this is what's funny about negotiation. If you're a good negotiator, let somebody else talk themselves into the outcome. Seriously, have you met these people? They keep talking and talking and talking, and then suddenly you know everything about everything. You go, oh, okay, cool. So let them talk, and they sometimes give up their buyers' positions or their sellers' positions, right? Yes, Hilda, that is correct. The best negotiators can somehow just listen, and then you come up with the idea and go, oh, wow, I'm so glad I came up with that idea. But actually, they just guided you to that answer. I'm actually not that good at this. I talk too much, but you go, oh yeah, I came up with this great idea. But actually, no, you just steered them that way. Right, so that's a good one. Blake, persuasion. Yes, to a point, right? I mean, you can only persuade people to a point, but I think planting seeds and yeah, being persuasive is important because you need to stand firm as to what you believe sometimes. But you have to be careful. And sometimes if you push too hard, you scare folks away, right? So you have to find a balance. So just pushing and persuading doesn't always work. You have to find a balance, right? But planting seeds. Yesterday, I put out an offer and I put a 10-day contingency. Now, this is a very expensive home and it's a brand new home construction and we're the only offer and we're all cash. So we have some good things going for us, okay? And there's no other offers. So I don't see any reason to waive my contingency. So I put a 10-day contingency and he asked me, he said, can you go down to 7? But here's the thing. We have a lot of inspections to do. I mean, it's a brand new home and I never trust those. I want to do a full suite of inspections. So I told him, I said, I'll try to get it done as fast as I can, but I really want to reserve time because we want to do some peace of mind checks. That's what I told him. And then now he knows that unless he has another offer, he's not going to push me on that point, right? Because I do need that time. I'll try to get it done sooner. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, 7 days is tough to get everybody out, right? So I needed my 10 and I know there's nobody on the other side just yet. And I'm not sure that they're going to have somebody with as much cash as my buyer. So I'm going to play my cards, right? I'm going to roll the dice and I think I'm in a stronger position. So he's probably not going to push on that. Okay. Yes. Master of questions. You have to ask questions. Only by asking do you understand. Yes. And Rob, exactly. Asking those questions gets understanding, right? How many times have you guys had you go to the MLS, it goes, seller would prefer a 2-week rent back, if possible. Okay. And then you write your offer and you go, here's a two week rent back. And then you lose because somebody else came with a 1-month rent back. Why is that? Why is that, right? It's because sellers don't really know what they want either. They're a little scared to ask because they don't want to scare people away. And so that agent that won that deal was smarter than all of us. They actually read it, looked between the lines, and gave more. Actually, what that agent probably did was call the listing agent. Hey, just want to know, tell me more about your seller. Where are they going? Where are they moving to? And I know you mentioned 2-week rent back. Just give me a little bit of color around that. Right? This is why this generation of kids, right, the last few generations, they rely on text and messaging, and they think that's communication. Nothing beats a voice conversation or a face-to-face conversation. I'm sorry, I know I dance between the two lines because I'm tech savvy and from Gen X, right? But they think that's communication. It's not. You need to ask them. So what's the listing agent going to go into? Oh yeah, my clients have lived in the house for 40 years. They've got quite a bit of things that they still need to move out. They got a new house in Arizona, but they're going to have to get a few trailers and maybe make a few trips. So that's why they're asking for the rent back, but only if it's convenient, right? They just want, but they do have a lot of moving to do. And so they're a little bit worried because they have 40 years of things in a garage. So boom, but still, if you're expecting a straight answer, you're not going to get one, right? The answer is they need more time. So the next question is to your buyers, hey, how much time do you need? If they say, time's not an issue to me, give these people 2 months, right? Then you're different. You're different, everyone, because everyone else is reading, oh, 2 weeks. Okay, I'll give you 2 weeks. No, be smarter. Ask the question, understand, listen, and give them more, right? Especially in this market, I'm saying, right? Obviously, if it's in the other market now, but here's the thing. Let's say you gave them 2 months rent back for free. for example, okay? But your price was lower by, I don't know, 10, 15, 20K, right? Or whatever that is. You might still come out on top because the rent back's only costing you, let's say 5K a month. And somehow you're lower by the next offer by 15,000, right? But that person didn't do the rent back. So you win. Sometimes this happens, sometimes not. If you're a smart listing agent, you'll counter and get the higher price. But sometimes people will take the lower price because this was very important to them. This was a point of stress. But you wouldn't know if you didn't ask the question. You won't know from texting. You won't know from email. You have to have a conversation. You might get it, but conversation is better. Know what you're negotiating for. What is the goal, Anna? You read ahead in the guide. Thank you. Just kidding. Building rapport. Yes, Melissa, this is really good. And for those of you that have been in the industry for a while, agents know you. It's even better. The house this weekend, I called the guy I showed it on Saturday. I called him to get information. I don't remember him. I don't remember when my name was in his phone. So he answered and goes, "Hey, Alan." I'm going, "Hey, Rob, what's it going? It's been a long time." Yeah, hey. But it's, the point is, as you do this more, it's even easier because you know everybody, right? So I went back and I checked my text, and I think we did a deal a long time ago in Evergreen. And so we were talking like we were old buddies, and it was awesome, right? Because he was telling me everything. And this is great. And at least there's a healthy respect for each other. So that was really good. I saw one yesterday, seller won't move out until June. To me, it's a little scary with COVID rules. Is that a rent back, Linda? Or did they want to close all the way till June? I'm not sure. Why did that scare you? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you why I think that's the case, Linda. The reason is they probably have kids in school. And so they want to be on the market for maybe 2 weeks. They want to be in escrow for 1 month, and then they want a 2-month rent back. Just clean the house. That's what I would do. Okay, do a deep sanitizing before moving in. All right, well, you guys covered this already, so I'm going to move on now. And everyone seems a bit shy, so if it doesn't get too crazy, I don't mind if you guys unmute and talk. But if it gets too crazy, I'm pushing everyone back to the chat. Tell me some issues that you guys have seen with negotiations. What are some of the problems that you guys have been running into? And keep it brief, please. I don't want it too long. It's just, what are some of the characteristics that you guys are running into out there as you're negotiating? What factors are you running into? Chime in.
I'm running into an agent who doesn't even understand how much more information they really need to get before they accept any offer. Yesterday, I negotiated with somebody, and I told her that you've turned in your HOA, but you don't realize that these insurance issues, these issues related to occupancy, all of these have to be signed off by a lender. I can sign it off that I read it, but that doesn't mean the lender is going to agree to it. And at the 11th hour, the insurance blows up because the HOA refuses to add more insurance. I mean, that was yesterday. So,
Yeah, sometimes
you have to know a lot more than the agent on the other side who is not as experienced as you.
Sometimes you do have to baby the agent on the other side, unfortunately. It's now, if you have a choice, you don't work with that agent, right? And that's the thing is, but you newer agents here on the call, this is an uphill battle for you on the buy side, okay? If you're a listing agent, you have all the power right now, so power to you. But that doesn't mean that you got to lean on your mentor to make sure that you're not making a fool of yourself like this agent is, right? If you're a new agent, you have your mentor, you have Mark, you have a lot of support in our offices at least. But as a listing agent, at least you can get away with it because we have to deal with you, right? On the buy side, you have to come across professional, that you know what you're doing. Because if I sense when I'm reviewing offers and there's an agent that doesn't know what they're doing, I won't take that offer. I don't need to take your offer. I will go with somebody more experienced. It has happened. It has happened before when last house, I forget where it was, San Jose Country Club. The top price offer was this agent that was just, I don't know, he was lazy, basically. I'll get you the disclosures tomorrow. Don't worry. I said, I don't see your proof of down payment funds not adding up. Oh, don't worry. They got the money. I said, well, can you send me a proof? Oh, okay, I'll get it to you tomorrow. I'm reviewing offers tonight. right? I mean, you can't get it to me tomorrow. What is this tomorrow thing, right? So again, you got to be a good agent, right? So even you can be new and still be good, right? That's what I'm saying. But there's some agents that you can detect. So I ended up going with another agent that was a 20-year veteran. I didn't know him, but all his paperwork was done. I's were dotted, T's were crossed. He was diligent, right? He did it, just everything you could tell, right? Somebody's diligent, methodical, composed, and not just kicking things. This guy was so mad at me when I didn't take his offer. I said, hey, you want feedback? I'm going to give you feedback because your lender was awful. I mean, he told me you guys weren't underwritten. And he told me not really approved. He goes, what? Because I could change lenders in a second. I'm all, no, it doesn't matter. You have a complicated file, right? So a good agent needs to get those questions answered so that I don't have to figure that out, right? If I call the loan agent, they're hemming and hawing about the file. Well, these guys aren't really approved. He's very complicated. He has a lot of businesses in underwriting, but I haven't heard back from an underwriter yet. I'm not taking that offer, right? So you as a buyer's agent need to do that diligence. Ask those questions ahead of time before. I don't feel good about. I don't care that he was the highest price. The lender's like, I'm iffy on his loan. Okay, that's terrible. Disclosures aren't signed. Sorry, that's an F in my book, right? You don't have disclosure signed, then clearly you're not doing. Well, that's fine if you don't have it signed, but if I ask you to sign it and you don't get on it, that's the problem, right? So I get it that it's a lot of work, right? But if I ask you and you go, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it when there's another agent that I beat them out by 25,000 in Los Altos because they didn't do their disclosures. I got mine done. And when she asked this agent, they were in the same office. They said, oh, I'll get done tomorrow. The lady's like, I'm not dealing with that. I don't want any holes, right? It needs to be done. Right? What else?
Alan?
Yeah.
It's Mark Blau. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Mark, welcome.
Listen, I came here to learn from the best.
Good man. Thank you.
But yeah, I think one of the other challenges when I deal with as a buyer's agent is agents that are not of your caliber, not so much in knowledge, but that won't engage with the other agent. I mean, you can try and negotiation does nothing if the other person is engaging with you. He isn't communicating with you. And I've had times, believe it or not, I've had agents will just say, let's just send the offer. Just send it. I don't have time. I got 80 offers, 2 offers. I don't have time. Obviously, that's a challenge. Now, I have no problem with, I can handle that because I'll just put them on my permanent shit list, I call it, where if that ever reverses, where I'm the listing agent, they want my house, then, hey, I'll return the favor. But the reality is that is a challenge. And I really feel bad for buyer agents right now. I respect buyer agents, man. You guys are killers out there. It's tough. But I think every listing agent needs to understand you need to show the respect like you do, Alan. I know the other agents, show the respect, engage with them, understand they're doing their best for their clients. And as long as everything's respectful, I don't see a challenge, but that's just my opinion.
So Mark, great point. And for those of you, when you have listings, you're going to be feeling overwhelmed as well. So as buyer's agents, you need to plan ahead. So think about it, right? If I put today's Tuesday, if I put a house on the market today and you call me today, I have more time, right? If I set a date next Tuesday and you call me on next Tuesday trying to figure things out, I won't have any time, right? And it's not that I don't want to. I do my best to get back to people, but sometimes some houses are, there's 80 offers. I mean, your phone is blowing up and you can't talk to anybody, but you do your best, right? So the earlier you get them for those basic questions, the better, right? So they list today, call them, hey, just want to figure out what's going on. They will be usually more in tune to talk to you at that point. But if you call them on the offer date, they can't.
Well, yeah, I agree. If it's on the offer date and offer's due in an hour, right, they're not going to.
Exactly. You just can't.
That's common sense, and I agree with you on that. But
it's not necessarily.
The fact is, sometimes agents are just darn, I hate to say it, guys.
Yeah.
They're lazy. A lot of agents are lazy out there. We all know them. No,
that's true. It's true. But Mark, I think on our side, I just hit them on all channels. Agents are really good on text messaging, including myself, because even if I'm out and about, I'm doing something, I can text you back pretty quickly. So those quick things are good. Like, hey, just a quick question: why are your sellers moving? And do they need a rent back? Anything special I need to know? Just something quick, right?
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I appreciate texting. Maybe I'm the older generation. I'm only 36, but there's nothing. I mean, texting. There's just like emailing. You can't get a flavor of what is being said. People can say, and by talking to someone for a few minutes, you can get a flavor. One, is this a fit or not?
Yeah.
And it saves a lot of time, but you know, that's a challenge, and
It's-
I don't
yeah,
have a solution for that. I really don't.
I don't either, Mark. I think, you try to call them, they don't call back, then you text them, email them. You're just trying to get as much information as you can, right? So,
Absolutely.
and Ali, I agree with you. I hit or miss. So when I have a listing, I try to call the agents and I try to get feedback. And it's funny because I can't reach 80% of them. And they don't answer their phone. I don't understand how people sell real estate. You don't answer your phone. I don't get it. But so I do text them. Texting does have maybe a higher rate of response. But yeah, so awful experience with a FISBO, ended up rescinding our offer. Yeah, for sale by owner. I mean, this is why we have a realtor, right? When they represent themselves, it's tough. It's hard. So that's why, I mean, I don't see a lot of FISBOs anymore. Most of them will go with an agent because I think they know how hard it is. It's not easy to do. I mean, I had a FISBO long time ago. One of my first houses I ever sold, go with Help You Sell at the time. And Help You Sell is basically, yeah, we'll take your house, put it on MLS, and good luck. You do everything else, right? So you host your own open houses, you do everything else. And so this guy, actually, I used to work with him at Cisco. And so it was my buyer coming in, and he was calling me for advice because he was so scared and nervous, and he had somebody back out on him. And so he was a really good guy, by the way. I mean, really good guy. He was just so lost. So he was asking me, hey, tell me about your buyer. Are they going to be okay? I mean, that's not his job, right? But if he refuses to pay us, then too bad, right? He's going to have to deal with that. And that's why, we are worth our salt. Sorry, Anna?
My experience was totally different. It was a FISBO that had some friend representing, and the friend obviously had experience, but was not licensed. So he was very unethical, and he was basically steering the deal. He was texting me nonstop as I was preparing to send an offer and giving me, oh, I got an offer on this price. Oh, I got an offer on that price. Oh, I got an, and I'm sure he did it to other agents as well.
Sure.
It was so ugly. And then they were not wanting to pay any commission, which I said, look, whatever, if they get the house that they want, basically was working for free. But it was so many issues, like ethically, they were just acting so disgusting that we ended up getting out of this.
Yeah, Anna, people that don't see any worth in what we do, those tend to be the worst people to work with because they don't see any worth in anything, right? So yeah, anyway, let's keep moving. Ali, correct. In person, phone, best way to communicate. I hate to say this, and frankly, it happens. The agents that don't answer their phones often are the ones that are double ending anyways. So they have no interest in talking to you at all. So they're just kind of finding their own buyers and cutting you out. So they don't find any interest in talking to you sometimes. So anyways, or they're hiding behind a landline, or you have to kind of really dig for their mobile phones, right? So anyways, there are different ways. I'm not saying everyone's bad. There's a lot of great agents out there, but yeah, be careful. All right, let's keep moving. Well, for the newer agents in the room, since this is a new agent training, now remember, when you put out an offer, there are 3 possible outcomes. Of course, your offer could be rejected. So if you lowball them like crazy on day 7 on the market, and there's other offers, your offer is probably going to get rejected, right? Or you can get a counter, or you can get a multiple counter, right? Where actually we should talk about this. A lot of agents don't even know what a multiple counter offer is. So I put out a buyer's offer. The seller gets 5 offers. The seller decides to counter the top 3. That's called a multiple counter. So they send a different counter to 3 different buyers, okay? It's called a multiple counter offer. Now, as a buyer, even if you sign that offer, the seller still has to decide which one they're going to pick. And so this is important. When you get a multiple counter as a buyer, you are not in a power position, okay? You are not in a power position at all. So I've seen some buyers go back and counter a lower price. Again, whatever they want to do, okay? They just need to understand what they're doing. If you counter a lower price and the other 2 people come back, then you lose right away, okay? If you counter a lower price and the other 2 don't come back, then okay, maybe you win, right? Maybe you win. So it's hard to say. I find countering a multiple counter offer lower is a very low probability of success strategy, okay? Now, the strategy that's even better though is if you really want the house, you counter back more money. Most people don't think that way, okay? if you just want to roll the dice, you accept with the seller and go, okay, hopefully I have a 1 out of 3 chance to win. If you really want the house and you've got the money to do it, you counter more, then your odds go high, really, really high of success. Okay. So that's how the multiple counter offer works. And then the paperwork, Mark and Trini know how to do that. But that's how a multiple counter offer works. Okay. The seller still needs to pick one of you and sign it. Okay. So you don't, just by signing it, you still have to wait. And of course, the other seller could just accept your offer. Okay.
Alan, sometimes you have an agent who does not go through multiple counters and refuses to give the highest, best people an opportunity. And I don't understand why they think that they are they are representing their seller the best when they accept it and say, no, we don't do multiples. We're not sending it out for multiples, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's an ethical issue.
Yeah, that's what might be happening is this, because the market is so hot. So what it kind of, okay, the listing is, okay, market's so hot. I don't need to go through all this paperwork. So what I do is this. I try to give everybody a chance. That's what I do. So, but I don't want to do paperwork either. So I'll have the offer time set around 2 p.m. and then I'll call everybody. Say, hey guys, this is what it looks like. We've got 8 offers in hand. You're 5th out of 8. Do you want to make any improvements on it, on your offer? And I give you guys a chance to go and change your page 1. And as I said, I'm taking highest and best, but now you know what's going on, right? It's hard when you go in, you don't know exactly what's going on. You're kind of shooting in the dark, right? So I do this kind of before I meet the seller. I give everyone a chance to come up with their highest and best. And then I bring it to the seller. Now, if the seller, most of my sellers are pretty happy at that point. I say, hey, I've already, and I show them, right? This is what they offered. This is what they came up to. This is what they offered. This is what they came up to. So they know that Alan already did his job in the background already, right? To bring the best offer to the table. Now, some of them are still not happy, right? They see there's 2 offers that are very similar. And then they go, I don't know, so then at that point, I'll have to counter again. But at that point, that's bad because I've already asked people for their final and best. And then the seller wants to counter again. I can't guarantee that people are willing to play ball at that point, right? So I like to do it that way, Sheila, because I don't want to be writing, I want to wrap it up tonight. I don't want to, but I do give everybody a chance. But you're right. Some agents just, I don't know if they did a really good job of communicating and saying, hey, I'm only taking highest and best. If that's the case, that's fine, right? But I know what you mean. Some of them don't. So you just scratch your head and go, wait a minute.
Yeah, I lost out to an offer for like the $30,000 that she could easily, if they had been countered, they would have taken it. As it turned out, they got a better house and a better location, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, but Sheila, here's the thing. On the flip side, I'll flip it around. And you know this, you've been doing this a while. So on the listing side, it's not always about money, right? So if I'm looking at a buyer and, okay, they're the highest price, they have 50% down, they're with a lender that I know and trust, and they're giving me my rent back and they sign all their paperwork. And even if you're 30,000 behind, you might have 20% down or 25 down. There's no point in me talking to you because I already have one that's really strong. And so there's no point in me calling you back. You know what I mean? Or there's all cash, right? I won't call you if I have all cash. You have a loan, right? So I want to give the listing agents the benefit of the doubt that they know what they're doing. When I'm doing this too, I call people because I want everyone to have a chance. I want them to feel like they had a chance to do their best, right? And I hate it when I don't have a chance. But not every agent does that. They look at it and go, no brainer. I'm going to take that one, right? And so,
hey, Alan.
Yeah.
So one of the things, I know we all feel that way. Ours didn't get accepted. We would have come up. But the thing is, in this market, that's what we have to be really educated about, is in this particular type of market, well, in any market, you always want to encourage your people to come in highest and best, because you want to reward the person who came in highest and best and not just give the second person a chance to come up, unless that person, like you said, is a real pain to work with, and you know that the next 30 days is going to be hell working with them. But you always want to, reward the people who gave their best right up front. Typically, they came in with the cleanest offer, the I's dotted, the T's crossed, the highest price. I mean, if you were the one that came in at that price and came in, would you feel good if the listing agent went back to 3 other people and said, hey, come up and meet them? Wouldn't you feel great if yours was accepted because you did your best up front? I mean, it's just tricky. I mean, I know what Sheila is saying, but it's really tricky. You can't give everybody that second look. Otherwise, you might get outpriced.
Yeah, but Yvette, on the listing side, that's our job, right? I mean, we can't leave that money on the table if someone's willing to pay it. just because we feel by principle, right? I mean, I think when
Yeah,
people,
no,
when
sorry, Alan, didn't make myself clear. I was saying if they were just going to come up and match the top price.
They
Yeah,
don't know
correct,
the
correct.
price.
Yeah,
They
if they're
don't know
going
the
to
top price.
match the top price, then why would I even bother? But if they're going to come in above, of course I'm going to try and get the best amount for my clients.
Now, Allie, to be clear, Allie, I don't give everybody a chance per se. Okay. Usually I focus on the top 2 or 3, because when you write an offer, you're writing it blind. You don't know what's going on. So then
Right.
once you know the playing field, then suddenly you go, okay, I get it now, right? I'm not just, this is all real. I'm in the top 3. I have a chance at this. I know that 2 or 3 other people are just like me. I've got more room, right? I just didn't want to tell my agent, but I got more room. Now that I know that I'm not the idiot that's overpaying, I know the landscape, I know the playing field. Now people feel better because they have more visibility, right? And so, but Sheila, though, I'll tell you this. Sometimes I don't like to push people too much. So let's say somebody came up 100,000 today, right? To match the person that already came at that price. I don't know if I want that offer. 100,000 is a lot of money, right? They might have cold feet tomorrow, I mean, all this jazz, right? So if the gap is too big, I don't like to call people, right? If the gap is huge, coming up 100 is a lot of money, right? And the question is, why didn't they come up with that in the beginning, right? So I actually do give the person with the highest more weight because they came out with that number first. So, okay, I'm going to keep moving. Thank you, everybody. Keep moving.
Alan, just one more thing. You said that the agent, you do it, but many don't. And it's part of how you're trained to do it. And I think early in the game, it's important to say the highest and best, but you don't know when you go in. I did one where I called the night before I was writing the offer and I said, what does your seller want? I went back and forth. He was sitting on one side, I was sitting on the other through a telephone. And we said, this is what the seller will accept. I went even over what the seller wanted, and everybody was very mad because he didn't listen to any other offers.
You know what's interesting, Sheila? And I'm glad you won that one. That's awesome. Right now, what the seller wants is almost irrelevant because sometimes the buyers are going to be giving more than that. And so it's that classic trick in the market in Asia where the first one to say the price loses, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
on the listing side, you don't want to say anything. You don't want to say a word because you might say something. If it's too high, then people get scared, or if it's too low, then they shoot too low, right? So right now in this crazy market, you let them tell it. I used to tell them, hey, my seller is going to take whatever the market gives us, and let someone else tell us the number. That's what I'm doing. Now in another market, yeah, maybe you can do that, but I think just be careful on the sell side of anchoring people too low or too high, right? Both of them could hurt you. So right now, the market is going to tell you what your house is worth. So you don't want to anchor. You set your list price, and then you let people figure it out. That's what I would advise you. The first one who says something loses. Okay, let's talk about common points of negotiation. Price and terms are, of course, the most common points, right? Pricing and terms. I want to tell you this, though. I think this is a flaw that most of us don't understand. We think it's all about the money, or we think it's all about the terms, right? That's all we think. If you look at the car contract, there are actually probably over 50 different points you can negotiate in this contract if you really wanted to go down that route. So I'm trying to get her in here, but my professor at Berkeley, she's an expert in negotiation. She says, you have to figure out how to make the pie bigger. Okay. If it's just price and terms, then that's not very much to go with, right? You're just going to be overpaying and going non-contingent and closing in 25 days, right? That's all you got. We all know, based on our conversation, that real estate is so much more than that, right? We talked about this. Of course, price, fine. Okay, that's always important. Sometimes. But not always, though, okay? I've won houses where I was $50,000 less than the other agent, and I still won. And why did I win? Because I'll tell you the story, and I'm not trying to waste your time. I think my stories hopefully add value. I was in Los Gatos. I remember this. I was at the office presenting face-to-face. I was in my suit. I was all dressed up. And I was sitting in the lobby, and the other agent was in there. And I can hear her. I saw her walk in. She had a pot of flowers. She walked in. The sellers were there. Okay. He goes, oh, hi, you remember me? I don't remember her name, but my name's, so-and-so. You remember me? I'm from the country club. And I was going, oh gosh, I'm going to lose this battle. She knows them from the country club. Oh, no, she baked them a cake. I'm sorry. She baked them a cake. And I'm going, oh my gosh, this is horrible. She knows them and it's all, oh God. But then, I got myself together and I said, okay, Alan, you can only be who you are. A top-notch agent, organized, getting things done, professional guy. That's who you're going to be. That's who you are. And you don't have a cake. You're not a member of this country club. You don't know the seller, right? That's just who you are. So I came in and I was me, right? I said, hey, pleasure to meet you. I had my presentations. I had a printout for both of the sellers and the agent. And I just went through my thing. I said, these are my buyers. He's a local family. He was born in Los Gatos. And I went through it. I said, this is my Wells Fargo home mortgage team. I put him on the phone, right, speakerphone right in the middle. And then he was strong. My lender's really good. He was telling, oh yeah, these guys are great. They're, they could pay cash, but they're 50% down, blah, 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 blah. Excellent. I said, how confident are you doing this? No, 100% done. Hang up the call. I go through the contract. She flips through it, make sure I checked all my boxes. I got my agent visual inspection done. Everybody on this call, how many of you are there? 40 of you. Put your offer in, get the disclosure signed, and do your agent visual inspection. That is extra credit for you today for being here. If you do your agent visual inspection, there are no more loopholes in your offer as a non-contingent offer, okay? You do your AVIT, and that gives you extra credit, bonus points. That's one less document I got to worry about on the listing side. So anyway, so I presented this, bam, bam, bam. No more than 15 minutes. And then I left. And then the conversation in the room was this. I really like so-and-so. I really liked her. I do remember her, blah, 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 blah. But then the sellers asked the agent, Kim was the agent. Kim, be honest. Which agent do you think is really going to get this done? And she said, Alan. And they go, oh, but 50,000 is a lot of money. But she said, but Alan's going to get it done. I'm not sure about this cake baking person, right? Sorry, it sounds so bad. And we did win it for 50,000 less. So it's not always about the money, folks. Not always about the money, okay? It's about you. It's about your lender. It's about the confidence in getting things done. It's about you signing those disclosure packages, getting the agent visual inspections, not sending me 15 attachments in your offer, putting it together, bind it, your PDF, so I have to keep flipping through stuff. It's making my life easy as a listing agent, okay? Now terms, of course, right? We got contingencies. You guys all know most offers are going to be non-contingent, only if it's safe, right? Your lender better be 100% sure they can do this deal if you're going to go non-contingent on the loan. Your appraisal, they better have 25, 30% down. And when you run your CMA, there better be buffer, or you better find at least 3 houses that justify that price you're paying, or it justifies the buffer that they have, okay? Before you allow your client to go non-contingent. Obviously not your choice, but you need to advise them. I had a client in Los Gatos 2 months ago, offer on a house. He wanted to go 3.1, beautiful house. He loved it. They loved it. But he only had 15% down and 5% buffer, so 20%. He was going with a doctor program, okay? And what kind of world we live in that a poor doctor can't even buy a house, right? So he was right at 20%, but I ran the comps. I could not justify more than 2.7 mil, 2.8 million. My buyer did not have the money, did not. And so I did ask him, hey, I'm not feeling good about the appraisals. Do you have access to any more money? He says, I could ask my parents, but I don't want to do that. I really don't. I said, okay. Well, then I said, I cannot in good conscience tell you to waive the appraisal contingency. I just can't. I mean, it's your call. If you want to be aggressive, that's fine, but I can't, and I just don't feel good about it. I don't have enough. If you can't hand 3 comparables to the appraiser comfortably to justify your number, you got a problem, right? You're going to have a problem. If your client doesn't have the money, you can't let them do that, right? So then we didn't win. Somebody else came in at 50% down, non-contingent, and they beat us. He was heartbroken. But I told him, I just can't let you do that. I'm sorry, I just can't. And he got it. He goes, Alan, I love you. Thank you for that. Right? I said, I don't want to be in it 14 days from now. And then they go, oh, sorry, appraisal 2.7, go find 400K or 300K or whatever. Right? That's not cool. Not cool at all. All right. And then property condition, right? Your job, agents, you better be reading those disclosures. Sending and forwarding a link to your client is unacceptable. You need to read those disclosures, okay? You need to read it line by line as if you were buying this house. And does something bother you? And if something bothers you, then you need to go and get somebody to come look at it before the offer date, if you're going non-contingent, or you need to reserve a few days to do inspections, right? For me, the scariest thing is foundation. Sometimes they're $5,000, sometimes they're $100,000, okay? I had a house in Mountain View that had $400,000 of repairs. It was a completely wrong foundation for the house. So you gotta be careful with these things, right? Remember, they give you property termite roof, but that doesn't tell you a whole lot. Okay, termite, okay, you know how much that costs, great. Roof, okay, fine. But the property inspector, if you really, really read those inspections, they have all kinds of CYAs in there, cover your, right? They've got, oh, I'm not a structural inspector. You know, we see cracks, but I'm not a structural inspector. Talk to your structural inspector. Oh, I'm not an electrical, you know, blah, blah, blah. Talk to your electrical person. I'm not this, I'm not that. I'm just a general inspector. So in the court of law, you're not going to get much from them, okay? It's your job to know that if you see something weird that they're calling out, especially around the foundation, especially cracking or undermining or leaning or sloping, you better get a structural person out, okay? Because you don't want your client stuck with a lemon later. We had a house on our team that the property inspector said everything is fine. And then when we went to inspect, there was actually no foundation on the house at all, which was really strange. And that was awful. All right. So again, what can you open things up to? Beyond price and terms, I talked about this. So I had a house in Country Club. I asked in the MLS for a longer close if possible, because seller's doing a 1031 exchange. Out of 10 offers, only one person wrote me a 45-day up to 60-day time frame. Nobody else did. Nobody else did. And guess who won? Because my seller was behind. She's too busy at work. She didn't have time to look into her next purchase for her investment. For those of you that are new, we don't know what 1031 exchange is. Basically, when you sell your investment property, within 45 days, you find 3 properties that you want to buy, and you close on that property. Within 180 days, you can actually move those funds, if the house is the equal price or greater, tax-free, and do what's called a 1031 exchange, okay? But you can tell the time frames are really short. And so my seller took the offer. It was even a little bit lower than the top offer by 5 or 6K, but it was worth it to her because she needed the extra month, and she's chewing through that month right now. She's already extended to 30 to 60 days. And that was important to her, right? So you got to ask the question. I even put it in MLS and nobody read it. Nobody read it. Nobody asked except maybe 1 or 2 people. And they didn't understand how important that was to my seller. And I just don't know how else to help agents. If you're not going to read what I write in the MLS and you're not going to ask me the right questions, I can't help you, right? And so that's the person that won. And most agents won't even go that far. So you have to dig. You have to figure out what they're doing, right? If you see 1031 exchange, that's an automatic cue. You have to ask them, hey, where are they? Did they find something yet? Did they not? If they did find something, you got to move fast. If they didn't find it, then you need to give them some more time. The more time, the better. Okay, that's another example. Like I told you about the elder couple that's been in the house for 40 years, they're going to need more time. Unless they're, if you go in, you see the house is still full of their stuff for 40 years, that's a hint that they're going to be a while, right? Or if you call the listing agent and go, my clients haven't found a house yet. They're not sure what they're going to do next. Give them 2 months free rent back. That's going to be huge, even if they don't ask. But here's the thing. They want their money fast. So if you think that you can drag it on for a 45, 60-day, 90-day close, most people don't want that. They want a 25-day close, 30-day close with a 2-month rent back. That's what they want for free in this crazy market. Okay. So think about that as you put together your offers. Sometimes, I don't know, you get these weird hints of things such as, oh, my client loves this maple tree. This little maple tree was planted by their daughter when they were young, and they really, really love it. I don't know, get creative. Is there a way to put that maple tree out, put it in a pot and let them take it with them? Things like that. Think outside the box, okay? But again, expand the pie, right? It's not just about price and terms unless you make it about price and terms. And there's all kinds of things you can do. There's some people, there's the statutory limit to what a seller can take from a buyer for liquidated damages 3%. Some people, they go, hey, I'll put 10% into title. So I'm serious. You can do that. If your client's cash heavy, they don't mind tying up, 10% in there. That's a sign. You can use increased deposit. After continues are removed, I'll increase my deposit. You can do that. There's all kinds of stuff you can do in this contract. I mean, not that you want to do this, but you could, in a county where the seller pays closing costs, maybe you want to pay those closing costs. Again, I'm not saying you need to do that. I've never had done that, but you can pay the closing costs if you want to be different. You can pay the home warranty if you want to be different. Things like that. Okay. Lots of things you can negotiate. Just got to ask the right questions. But again, you got to pick the right scenario for the right situation. Okay. For example, if you run into an investor and you're offering a rent back, this is a flipper, right? You're offering a rent back, blah, blah. They don't care. They don't need a rent back. Right? They want you to close fast, right? And okay, if they're doing a 1030 exchange, maybe you want to give them a little more time to close, maybe, right? But most of the time, those folks want their money quick and fast. No terms, no conditions, boom, in and out. But the seller, the longtime homeowner is different, right? How do you figure that out? Go into Realist, look up the address, see how long they own the house or who owns the house. If it's an LLC, then it's probably a construction company. If it's an owner, you see they've owned it since 1993 and before records were even kept, then you know that they've been in there a long time. And so different things matter, right, to different people. Of course, you can ask the agent, but there's ways to figure it out. All right. Next, any questions? Perfect. Okay, page 6 here. I'm not necessarily going to do all the exercises. Let me see here. Here's the tips, common points. Okay. I'm going to read it to you guys. Above all, be professional. You guys heard that, right? I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with the cake and country club approach. That could have worked. It could have. It just depends on how sentimental the sellers are. I like to be professional. You err on the side of being professional, I think you tend to be pretty solid. And actually, to some of you agents out there, some agents are way too casual. I actually had a agent who I really respect, been in the business a long time, came to present an offer to me, and I guess he assumed that I was an old dog and I didn't care, and so he was just all right, here. This is when you could do letters. Here's a letter. Here's a pre-approval. Yeah. Like he's just kind of going through the motions for fun, right? And I was kind of disappointed because I really respect him, and you know what? Even though, I mean, I don't really know you that well. I know you're a good agent, but to not take it seriously, that's not something I really appreciated. So be professional, right? Even though he thought he knew me, he didn't really, right? If we went to high school together in college, I understand why you would do that. And you're my buddy. Okay, fine, maybe. But I mean, this wasn't my buddy. Anna brought this up as well. Remember, you have to have a goal-signed contract. Kind of what are you trying to do? What are your limits? What do your clients have in mind? Now, your clients have their limits, by the way, okay? You can't push them. If they can't do, I had a client who, well, not me, but it was actually the other agent on that house that I told you about the 1031 exchange. She told me her story. I love this agent. I've worked with her before. She used to sit next to me in one of the other KW offices. Wonderful person, right? I would love to work with her. I actually asked her, remember, I called back and said, hey, I just want to let you know, is there any more time you can give on the closing time? She was at 30 days, right? So she goes, yeah, we might be able to do 40, but my client's having a baby, and it's coming in the next month and a half. So, I mean, I'm not thinking, okay. So I didn't push her, right? I didn't push her, and you shouldn't either, right? If they're having a baby and that's why they're buying this house in the next 2 months, it's nothing you do, right? You can't give them rent back because, or your lease on your apartment's coming up, or there's different factors. You have to have your limits too, right? So what they mean by goal signed contract is, as a buyer, you have to come to the table with what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, right? So in this market, again, it has to be a win-win, even though it's a little crazy. Everyone has their price limits, right? You're financially constrained by your down payment for appraisals, or you're constrained by your lender, or you're just constrained by what you're willing to pay. And so these are all limits. You have to go in and talk to your client. Okay, as we're going into this, where are our limits, right? What is acceptable, what's not to us as a win-win for us? I'm Alan. I'm willing to do $3 million on this house. I'm willing to do, that's my max. I 30 days closed. That's fine. I can go a little longer. Or I could do a 2-month rent back, or I can't. You have to have those goals in your mind already with your buyer. You have to have your game plan in your mind. Okay. I had a client who we were bidding in Mountain View, Los Altos area a while back. I went to present the offer face to face. I don't know if you guys know the old Alan Panel agents. They love to lock you in the room until things are done. It's really frustrating, actually. And so I had to go to a dinner that night, and this lady locked me in the room while they were negotiating. I'm like, oh my God. But anyways, so my client already told me, Alan, under no circumstance will you lose this house. You are approved up to 2.9 million. That's what he told me. We had come in at 2.8. Okay. And so the lady pulled me aside, took me outside in the hallway. She said, hey, I just want to talk to you about this. She goes, yeah, I've got multiple offers. Blah, blah. Can your client do, what's the best your client can do? 2.9. I told her right out the bat, I already had approval to do this. And we won. So that's kind of how that went, right? So you need to know kind of what your game plan is. And I hope that you have enough trust with your client to be able to do that. Okay. Alan, close faster with rent back is better strategy versus 45, 60 days for a buyer, correct? If the client's not a 1031 exchange, yes, they want their money. But think about it. Unless I'm doing a 1031 exchange where I'm behind, then I'm going to want the money in the bank so I could go figure out my next move, right? So most people are stuck in the house because they haven't bought their next one. So as soon as I get my money, then I can start shopping in Arizona or Denver or Washington or down the street, right? But if I don't have the money, most people can't, right? So that's why that's important. Because rate lock cannot be too long. Yeah, that's a problem these days, especially with rates kind of fluctuating a little bit. But I mean, lenders aren't dumb, right? If you're locking in a 60-day contract, then they won't lock it until 30 days later, right? So just make sure your lender's on top of that, okay? Control what you say to anyone involved in the transaction. If you create anxiety in your clients or other parties, you're reducing leverage. So Bob in our office, our TL here, he has a phrase. He's a horse rider. I don't know, anyone ride horses here? If you ride a horse, the horse can feel your body language. If you're nervous, the horse gets nervous. And I steal this completely from Bob. So what Bob says is you have to have a steady hand on the horse, okay? I've seen some of the agents in our office and outside. You folks are spazzier than the buyers, okay? Calm down, right? If you are freaking out, your buyers or your sellers are gonna freak out. Steady hand on the horse is a steady transaction. And that's why sometimes I don't take offers from agents that are nervous Nellies, right? If you're freaking out all the time, then so are your buyers, right? They're gonna mimic you, they're gonna mirror you. You have to be the calm one. You have to be composed. You have to be the one that's just cool, calm, and collected. You need to be Joe Montana, right? Joe Cool in the pocket, okay? So you also need to control what you say. Again, I told you, some agents can't stop talking. And again, I'm guilty. Many of us are guilty. But in a negotiation, you need to learn when to shut up and just be quiet and listen, absorb, and don't give up too much information. You can't call you got to play it coy. You can't call the other side of the listing and just tell them everything. Oh yeah, my clients can go $500,000 more, no problem. Yeah, non-contingent, all good. So if I'm the listing agent, I'm going, yeah, I'm counting you $500,000. Here we go. But really, I was only needing 100,000 more. But if you're going 500K more, I'm countering you today since you guys can do it, right? Don't give up your position. Be coy about it. Agent yesterday kind of asked me too. So what are you going to do? So well, I'm going to talk to my buyer about it. I'll let you know. I was actually working on an offer already. Right? But I didn't want him to know until I sent it to him because I didn't want him to go calling 3 other agents, tell them about that I'm writing an offer, right? Got to play it coy, play it cool. But don't create anxiety for yourself or other people. Be calm, right? And otherwise, you're going to be freaking everybody out, okay? Now, motivation, right? I mean, you got to remind people sometimes about the big picture. So the client of mine that was freaking out in Sunnyvale about why he didn't get 2.8 million, when he had 2.7 million, I brought him to the big picture. I said, look, we talked about this. We said we're going to get 2.627. We're right there in that ballpark. You're moving to Canada. I understand you want the other 100,000. I'm going to try to get it, but they're not going. So this is still great. You got multiple offers. This person's waived all contingencies. so we don't have to worry about them backing out. They sign all their inspections. This agent even wrote an inspection waiver. They're not even going to do any more inspections. I don't even see that ever. This agent's really good. He's been calling me all week. I know he's not going to, his buyers are serious. They're having a baby. I mean, beyond the money, I mean, this is going to work out. They're not going to back out on us, put us in a bad position, right? Remember, that's what we wanted, didn't we? A nice, easy transaction. Remind them. But then I did give it an option too. I was go, but if you don't want to take any of these offers, that's fine. Let's ride another week on the market, see what happens. 2 weeks is okay, but I can't guarantee you that we're going to get better than this. And then after that, if we don't get the number you want, we could pull it off the market. We'll let it rest for 30 days and bring it back on. If that's what you want to do. He goes, oh, no. That's too much. That's too much trouble for 100K. No, not worth it. Not worth it. Not worth it. Okay. Not worth it to you, then we won't do it. Let's go with what we got. These are good offers, right? Again, number 5, don't reveal too much. Listen more than you talk, right? Keep your client's motivation close to your chest, unless it's something good, right? Now you got to be careful too. You go, oh my gosh, my client's about to have a baby. It's just about to pop and, we got to get in the house. I mean, be careful with that. Then they're going to know you're motivated, right? They're going to push you on that, right? You don't need to give that much. You can say, yeah, my clients are having a baby and they're looking forward to being in this house. That's okay. Keep it low, right? Keep it low key, but don't give it all away, right? Oh gosh, my clients have to win this house because their kids are going to school and they have to register by, a month and a half. Well, I'm going to counter you more money then because clearly you're motivated, right? Don't be attached to the outcome. That's a good one. You can't get everything you want all the time, right? And that's part of negotiations. That's why we're here. You can't get what you want. That's the whole point, right? If the sellers could get everything they want or the buyers can get everything they want, they don't need us. So we have to make it palatable, right? Don't necessarily chop the pie in half, right? There's other ways to kind of make it work. Right? If I gave you a rent back, would you be okay with the lower price? Right? Or basically you make those trade-offs for them, okay? Perfect. Next slide. Any questions? Yeah, Tilda, thank you. Consult whether you're representing the buyer or the seller. Yeah, you have to figure out, right? There's different approaches for both. Okay, we're heading up another 15 minutes. You'll get a bathroom break. Keep throwing your questions in the chat. I hope everyone's still awake. Now, first of all, negotiating is a skill, okay? It takes time to develop, but it can be learned. If you're not a good negotiator right now, you will be as you do more and more real estate. Yeah, so we'll get there, okay? And, for those of you that are new agents, grab another agent in your cohort and practice this negotiation. But the 3P approach is very helpful. You try to prepare, you present your offer, and then you position yourself. Let's go into preparation. So we talked about this, right? What is your goal at the end of the day? Is your goal to just win the house? Is your goal to get a deal? Is your goal, what is your goal? Right? I tell all my clients who are looking for a deal right now, don't bother, especially if it's a single family home, right? It's not the right market for you, right? Just sit it out, wait until the next one. If you're looking for a deal, it's just not going to happen unless you find one, but it's pretty rare. But if your goal is to get your family into a home, then yeah, that's doable. That's something I can hit. That's our job, right? To do that. We do need to know our client, right? I mean, if they're super conservative and they're not really they're going to play ball, you can just tell that they're very conservative and they're just not going to be able to fight in this market. You might need to have to come to a meeting with them and say, do we really want to do this? I've been doing that in all my buyer consultations. I don't sugarcoat it at all. I say, this market is not for the faint of heart. Are you going to be able to handle this? Because you're looking to buy a single family home. I had this conversation this week. And I said, to be honest with you, you're at 1.4 million and you want to buy a single family home on the peninsula. And you don't want a bad location where meaning not too safe or more sketchier location. I have to be honest with you. If you're most likely going to skew more towards a townhome, where at least there's a little bit less competition. And although it's picking up, we know that, but it's still a lot less than the single family home sector for now, right? For now. And so then, I kind of tell them, and if they're, I don't know if I don't think I have the stomach for this, then okay, you know what? Let's wait, right? I mean, there's no point in wasting their time and wasting your time, right? I mean, if you know they're just going to keep going, losing every time. If you think they're the trainable type that actually have a driver, then that's helpful. There's few good drivers in life. People get married. They don't want to live with their parents. That's a good motivation, okay? They're having a baby. That's a very good motivation. So those people tend to be very motivated. Or divorce, unfortunately. Those are also motivators. So that's what I mean by knowing your client. If those 3 motivators are in play, then that's a good thing, okay? You guys heard a lot about what I said, thinking ahead, right? Anticipating what other people want before they know. They are not always going to tell you. So you think people know what they want. You think buyers know what they want. They don't have a clue. Sellers, you think they know what they want? Sometimes, but not always, right? So if you're able to be creative and think ahead, then you're ahead of the game. Okay. I'm always thinking 2-3 steps ahead. Obviously, I've been doing this a long time. So real estate to me is like looking at the matrix, like Neo, right? But you'll get there. But think ahead, right? Think ahead for example, I'm not sure Chris is on this call, but Chris and I have a client, old client of mine. He's looking in Dublin. He's been getting killed out there. There's been 49 offers, all this crazy stuff going on. And so he lost, well, he was going to write on this house. It was at 2 million. And so I've been asking, so I asked a question. I said, well, I know you want to keep your house. Have you ran the numbers? Are you going to break even on keeping the house? Because I'm trying to encourage him maybe to sell so he could buy more house. He goes, yeah, Alan, everything breaks even. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. You can rent your house. Good. Most people don't think like that, right? They just, I want to rent, but they don't realize that they're losing money every month because their down payment's too low. So I said, okay. So I started thinking, hey, I just want to let you know if you feel like you're getting priced, I feel like they're getting priced out, right? Because every house is selling more. I said, are you okay if we start looking at the lower tier houses, maybe one less bedroom, a little smaller? And he goes, yeah, I'm okay, Alan, because the houses we've been going on for are kind of too big anyways. I said, okay, good. So we're still in the game, right? We're still in the game with your budget and your constraints, right? Trying to think ahead, because here's the deal. You keep losing, they're going to start blaming you. So you might as well get ahead of it and start thinking, okay, guys, looks like we're getting priced out. So can we shave off a bedroom? Can we go a little smaller? Can we go to a different location that's actually in our budget so we can fight? It's not your fault the market's crazy, but they will blame you. So you need to think ahead and be ahead of them, okay? Set clear expectations. You guys hear me, right? When I explain things, I'm trying to be very, very clear with people so they know what's going on. What is the contingency? What does the no contingency offer mean? What could happen? Your offer could be accepted, rejected, countered, or multiple countered. I should hear back tonight, latest tomorrow morning, so people can sleep, right? Because it's very stressful. Be informed. Some agents are really good at keeping you informed, some are not. So you gotta find a way to ping them without annoying them, right? So I try to call, I try to text, I try to email. Generally text, I get some little windows there. When I call, I go, I'm so sorry to bother you. I know it's a tough day for you. I'm just wanted to check in. How many offers did you get? And do you know approximately where we are, right? So if they say you're 5th out of 8, then you might need to go change your page 1 before. What time are you meeting with the seller tonight? I'm meeting with them at 8. Okay, great. I'm going to be sending you a new page 1, and then hang up. This conversation is less than 1 minute, but you got what you needed, right? But you got to, if you don't know what's going on, you're going to be in trouble. Now, for you agents in the room, how do you know what's going on? There's key metrics that you can know what's going on. How many disclosures have been downloaded? How many offers do you have in hand? The problem with the offers in hand is that they don't always have time to talk to you that day. So, I mean, general rule of thumb right now I've been seeing is disclosure count out, maybe about 50% of them, right? If it's single family, especially, right? So that's a general rule of thumb, sometimes more, right? But so if you see there's 2 disclosures out, that's not bad, right? 5 disclosures out, okay, well, maybe 2 or 3, right?
Can I ask a question?
Maybe 5.
Sorry, about disclosure download. So when they do the counts, for example, if I request disclosure, then I share it with my client. Every time we click on it, it counts as a download, or just one time?
Well, then don't do that. Especially if they're using Disclosure IO, they can see your clients every time they look at the disclosures. Download it yourself, put it in Dropbox, and share your own link.
Oh, okay.
Don't do that. Yeah, I don't trust Disclosure IO. I don't care what they say. Oh, yeah, we don't. I had this agent who knew every time my client opened a disclosure, I was like, what the heck? So I don't trust Disclosure IO at all.
I didn't realize that. Thank you.
Yep. She goes, oh, I saw your client read disclosures yesterday. I'm like, what? So I don't do that anymore. I save it to my own folder and I give it to them. And I have to make sure it's up to date.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, don't trust it. Don't trust it at all. But yeah, I mean, okay, granted, you can shave off 10%, for maybe clients are also downloading as well directly, right? So you can't put 100% salt. Yeah, I had 19 disclosures out in Sunnyvale, and when I really looked at it, there was actually 16 agents and then 3 buyers, right? So that happens. Sometimes they just give them the link. So, but do that. Obviously, obey laws. None of us are breaking laws here because we're part of an amazing office, and that's just how we are. And then know your documents inside out. That's contracts and disclosures. Okay, so you got to be ready. And when I say preparation, there are times when, yeah, you know what you're gonna write. So before I even write an offer, I actually write an email with all the bullets that you know, hey, we're going with this price, this deposit, these are the contingencies, this is the close time, this is the rent back. One part of it is just to organize my brain, and the other part is just to make sure my clients agree what I'm doing. Before and Rob asked that question about, Alan, how do you write contracts? This is how I write contracts. I actually lay out what I want to do first, then I put that into paper, right? Because they don't know how to read that contract, but you do, right? So just bullets are easier. I love bullets. Don't do about the disclosures. Oh yeah, well, so basically when you are a buyer's agent, you download the disclosures from this listing agent and you save it into a folder and you share that folder with your client. Don't send your client the link to the disclosures, because then the listing agent sees what your buyer is doing when they're opening stuff. Even I have an old antiquated site, but I can see when everyone opens something on my site. So if you give your buyer a link, I'll see if I care. I don't care, but if I wanted to be sneaky, I can see, oh wow, this person keeps coming in here and downloading. They must be very serious, right? You don't want that. You want to control that narrative. Understand? Okay, good. Learn. I think we kind of covered this already, but you guys probably know this. There's open-ended questions and then there's closed-ended questions. Closed-ended questions are, so I see your client wanted a 2-week rent back. Yes, they wanted a 2-week rent back. Not very helpful, right? If you ask a question, yeah, where are your sellers off to next? What are their plans? You know what? They don't have any plans yet. They're still figuring it out. They're exploring and they're looking at houses in different states, and they're still figuring out what to do. Ching, rent back, right? Oh, you know what? My clients already bought a house in Granite Bay. They're ready to get out of here. Ching, no rent back. I don't really, ching's not the right word. Ching, it's kind of money. Ding, right? Ding. So if you ask poor questions, you're gonna get poor answers. Do you have any offers? Yes. Okay, right. No. The better question is, I know it's hard for you to tell me, how many agents have been calling you asking seemingly like they're planning to write? You know what? About 3 to 5, but I don't know, right? In this market, 3 to 5 and probably more, some silent ones that didn't even talk to them, right? So you have to be ready for that, right? Ask better questions. Say same thing. The question you guys say, what is the bottom line price your seller would consider? This might work in a more balanced market where kind of it's just you and the seller. He goes, this is a great question, but right now it's not a great question to ask, because I don't know what the market's going to do. And so I don't want to give you a number, because what if I give you one too low and you anchor low, or if I give you one too high, you get scared away. I don't want to be I'm going to let the market tell me, right? You can try and say, hey, was there a price range your client was thinking about? I like to do this for fun. So the house is listed at 1.9. So I like to crack a joke. I go, I'm just curious, what were your clients' expectations? Were they expecting 3 million? And then they always laugh. Oh, no. If you gave me 3 million, I'll take it right now. And then they might loosen up, maybe, right? Maybe, right? But they will probably go back to the same line I said, which is, I'm going to let the market tell me, right? What additional information should I know? Do your clients need a rent back? Where are they going? Where are they moving to? Is there anything else important about your sellers that I should know about? Is there some family tree in the backyard that needs to be moved? Ha ha ha, right? Ask some good questions, right? Break the ice. The 1031 exchange, did they find something yet? No, they haven't. Okay. Okay, ask open-ended questions. Always good in any walk of life. Mira, let's see. Yes, Alice, use Dropbox or Google Drive. Really easy to do these days. I write it like an email summary with bullets, as to what I'm writing in the contract, and I email to my client. Why not? It's not just for personal organization. It's also probably good in a lawsuit that you documented it and they agreed to do that, right? God forbid you get sued and they go, oh, my agent never talked to me about what these things meant. No, they did. It's right here and you agreed to it, right? So no, share it with your client.
Alan, that's not legally binding.
I know it's not, but it's called diligence, right? It's care. You're showing care in what you do. Again, I've never been down that route, Sheila, in a real lawsuit, but I like to document everything in email. I CC my TT on everything, and it goes into the file. At least it shows I did something, right? I scheduled a
Yeah, you definitely do something.
yeah, I scheduled a strategy meeting, right? I summarized what you're writing, right? And then at least I'm trying, right? I'm not blindly writing offers and not explaining to you what I'm doing, right? It shows a level of care, is what it is. I think that's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Learn. What happens if? Yeah, you kind of play this out with the agent if you want, right? So what happens if my client wanted to offer you or wanted to move in a little earlier? Or what happens if we close in 25 days rather than 30 days? What happens if, what happens if I want to do a lot of inspections? I mean, this is a good open-ended question, right? So, why was that tree in the front important to you? Oh gosh, yeah, my client's daughter planted that when they were young. Oh, okay. Yeah, I noticed there on the closet there were these little marks of heights of the kids. That seems really important. I actually offered to take out the siding of a closet once with all the little niche marks of the kids' heights on the closet and give it to. I didn't win, but you gotta get creative, right? I mean, you gotta anticipate things that might be important. Sometimes, not in COVID, but you run into the seller at the house. Oh boy, and sellers love to talk about their house. Let them talk. Say, hey, well, thanks for being here. Do you happen to be here? Is there anything interesting you want to tell me about your house? Again, don't ask them anything about disclosures or what they want, pricing. No, just like, is there anything unique about this house I should know about? I have a client closing today. I think probably just closed, got a phone call. And he does all these little nook and crannies of his house that he's so proud of. You can get a lot of information out of that, right? Oh, my daughter used to hide in here for hide and seek. Blah, 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 right? Things like this. Good to know. I mean, I don't know. You might be able to use it. You might not be able to use it. But just think about that, okay? Anyway, why? Obviously, remember, you're not their agent, so you don't ask them anything but they can always tell you about the house and the plant and trees, and you might learn that they like landscaping, or there's a bunch of they're prized, passion fruit tree. I don't know. Never know. Again, we did talk about this already. Ask questions, clarify set expectations. Let's see page 9 here of your guide. Let me take a look here. Okay, I'm not going to do this exercise here because I want to get moving. Again, pay attention to the verbal, nonverbal cues. Obviously, during COVID, this is a little bit harder. But if you do have a run into an agent or a seller, I love presenting to sellers, by the way. Before the market got too crazy, I had a huge, very high success rate if I was presenting directly to a seller. Oh, very high. And I watch their cues. And the first thing I do is I present the price and I pause. And I look at the agent and I look at the sellers. A good agent, you won't see anything, right? But I try to see if they find that interesting or not interesting. So again, you just got to pay attention to different things when you meet people, if you're able to see them face to face. Yeah, keep quiet. I talked about that, right? Present your offer. Just kind of look at them and absorb, right? See what that. But again, a good agent is going to be very coy if you present face to face, if they're even allowing that. Listen carefully to what they say, right? If they go, well, I see you want us to pay for the home warranty. You just say, well, if that's a problem, I'm happy to take care of it. I see. Why do you need such a long close time? Can't you move any faster? I'll talk to my lender, see what I can do. And don't wait for the counter. If they're making a big deal out of these things, then just take out the home warranty, or you pay for it, have your buyer pay for it. It's not that expensive. And then you talk to the lender. If they can close faster, then close faster. You got the hint, right? Or he goes, you know what? This 21-day close is a bit fast. I mean, my client would really like to stay here a little longer. Fine. Send back an addendum that says 30-day close and 2-month rent back, right? Listen carefully to what they need, and then mimic if your buyer can do it, right? If your buyer can do it. I talked about staying calm and relaxed, right? Steady hand on the horse. Okay, steady hand on the horse. Whatever meditation or caffeine or lack of caffeine you need to do to relax, figure it out, okay? Relax. We need to be a calm third party. That's our job, right? We do not need to be freaking out just like our buyers and our sellers do. That is not good. Focus on your customer's needs, of course, and then give your offer the best chance. Can you guys see what it takes? It takes a lot of hustle, right? It takes getting information. It takes asking the right questions. It takes listening, and then packaging all this and then bring it back to your client to educate them as to what's going on. That gives your client the best chance. If you're just pitching offers into a well, it's not going to work, right? Not going to work. So again, asking what and how questions. So a buyer, of course, if they want to close in 60, a seller wants to close in 30, right? So you have to ask, hey, what is important about this 30-day close? Why is that important to your seller? And then if they get all defensive, then it's only, I'm just trying to figure out, what's important to you, right? But you got to understand, remember, I've talked about this already, right? If you have to figure out the why. I call it getting the color behind everything. Because if it's just buyers, I want 60, I want 30, and there's no why, then there's no understanding. Understanding the other person's position. So you have to understand. Once the seller goes, oh, you have 60-day close because you have some stock funds that are stuck, and you're in a blackout period, and you just can't, it frees up on this date. If there's no other offers, the seller, okay, fine, you can have your 60. If the seller wants to close 30, he's trying to buy a house in Arizona. Buyer goes, oh, okay, I get it. So maybe I'm okay with 30, or maybe not. And then the easiest thing is just chop it in half and go with 45 or some other date, or some other date in the middle. Don't fall victim to that. Sometimes cutting it in half is just the easy answer. Don't be victim to just taking the easy answer. But sometimes that's the easy answer. Say, hey, you know what? Let's just meet in the middle. Is that all right? I mean, usually most people go for that, right? But not always. Sometimes they don't care. If they understand, they might go, fine, you can have your 60, or fine, you can have your 30. Right? But you have to understand the why. If you don't understand the why, then it's just numbers on the page. This is where humans are not robots, right? We're not algorithms. We're humans with emotions, with different needs and different feelings and different situations, okay? What is a rent back? So rent back is basically allowing a seller to stay in the property after the close of escrow. There are generally two rent backs. There's a less than 30-day rent back where you use a seller. There's a simpler form for it. And then there's usually a 2-month rent back. Most lenders only let a seller stay in the house for up to 2 months. When that house closes, the seller becomes a landlord. Tenant, and then the buyer becomes a landlord, basically. The way you protect your seller, your buyer, is you hold a security deposit in escrow. So whatever that amount might be, $22,000, $5,000, and that's held in escrow for any possible damage that the seller might do to the property. Question: when listing agents fabricate numbers of offers, how do you discern, not this market, but previous markets? And we're coming up on the bathroom break. Let's see. So good question, Rick. And I'll talk about this in the section. I have a little section about why real estate's like poker. You have to be careful, Rick, right? So here's the thing. If I have no offers and I'm bluffing you that I have more offers, that's a stupid move, right? So I view real estate as a poker game. You have to be careful, right? If I have nothing and I'm telling you that I have 5 offers, and that scares you away to not write an offer and I have nothing, that's a stupid move, right? So if you're going to be saying I have X amount of offers, then you better at least have a few offers in your hand, okay? But you have to be careful, right? It's just like playing poker. When you have a good hand, push, right? You're going to push. If you don't have a great hand, then you may not push, or you're going to bluff. Now, the problem with bluffing is what if somebody calls you on your bluff, right? I think that's the hardest thing with poker and real estate is concerned. So I like to have a good hand before I start pushing people. And if I don't have a good hand, I'm not going to be pushing anybody because I just need one offer. But we'll talk more about this, Rick. All right, bathroom break. Go on your break. Come back in a few minutes, okay? Go. Any ahas? I'll take a quick break here. I'll let you guys talk. Unmute and if you, well, hopefully not too much here, but any ahas? No ahas, huh? That's not good. Ali, if the seller doesn't move out after the rent back period, yeah, we have to proceed with evictions after that. I've rarely seen a seller do that, but there is. Didn't Mark talk about it in one of the team meetings that you should put a note in there that they're not allowed to stay beyond the date, you know, even due to COVID rules. But talk to Mark about what the right thing is to say there. Okay, well, let's get started. Analyzing counter tactics. Let's see. Let me take a look at the guide here. Give me a second. See if we want to do this exercise or not. Okay. You know, I'm going to move past these two. This one here. So I'm going to try to cover this. So there's three kind of counter tactics that are available. The first one's called nibbling. Basically, you know, clients agreed on a major concession, and the other party starts nibbling for a smaller concession. So an example of that would be, let's see. So you gave a 2-month rent back, right? And then as a buyer, the seller starts coming back. Well, hey, can we, could we bring that down a little bit? What do you think, right? So in that situation, you just you ask them for something in return. That's what you do. So, all right, fine. If you want me to give you, some time back, then you want to leave the refrigerator, for me or something. I don't know. Try to get something back if they're nibbling. You don't want to always give things for free, right? Obviously, if it works out, fine, right? If you're, I don't really need that much time, or et cetera, then fine. But try to get something back in return when people are nibbling for things. Okay. The second one's called the hot potato. The other party is trying to pass something on to you. So all the closing costs because they can't afford them or something. Actually, I had this happen where it was a 5% down buyer in a condo in downtown San Jose, and they wanted $15,000 of closing costs or something ridiculous like that. And so what I did was I said, well, if you're gonna do that, then I want you to go $5,000 over list price, and I'll give you $5,000 towards closing costs. What they didn't know was the other offer we had in hand was $675. So we were gonna win either way. And they also didn't know that our seller really wanted to go over list price. Like that was his thing. He said, oh yeah, and I didn't think he was gonna get it, but we also knew that the other side had because they're 5% down, they do need the money. But we didn't think closing costs were gonna be $15,000. We thought $5,000 was sufficient, which it was. And so we gave them $5,000. So that worked out really well. But in the case of a hot potato, you gotta test it. Is it valid or not? Is it a real problem? And have we tried every solution possible? And in this case, it was, hey, we don't have money for the closing costs. It's like, okay, I get that. Fine. I'll give you some money towards closing costs, but you got to give me more money. And so that's how we worked that one out. So test it, make sure that it's valid. If it's not real, then, and sometimes it happens, right? They go, oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they come up with, but we need more time. Oh, this one happens a lot. I want a 10-day extension on the close of escrow. Wait, why do you need a 10-day extension? Oh, the loan is a little delay, blah, 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 blah. Well, we actually really only need 5 days, but I'm asking for 10 just in case. Well, no, then you don't get 10. We'll give you 5 and we can extend it if possible, or maybe you give you 7 if you want a little bit of buffer, but why do you need 10? All right, let's keep the pressure on the lender. Don't let them think they have more time. All right, keep it good guy, good cop, bad cop, or good guy, bad guy is what they're saying. So it's two people working together, take on opposing roles, right? Husband and wife. One's friendly, while the other one's hard to deal with. Car salesman, manager, right? That kind of thing. So when you have that situation, call them out, right? And say, bad guy says blah blah blah. They're just tag teaming you, right? So you just have to call out that, hey, you guys are just you're both trying to get me here. Yeah, I know what you're saying. A lot of agents play this game, right? Oh, it's not me. It's my client. Yeah, that's not the case, right? It's both of them are on the same page, right? On the same team. So you call them out on it. Okay, that's how you match some of these counters. Poker. Okay, I saw we have, is it Donato? A poker champion in our midst, by the way. So you're gonna love what I'm gonna be talking about now. And Rick, is Rick still here? Gonna answer your question now. To me, real estate is a poker game. I don't know how many of you play poker. If you don't play poker, you should play poker, because everything I learned in real estate is from poker. Okay, obviously this is bond, but so I talked to you a little bit about this before, right? So as a listing agent, it's a total poker game. We have to know when to push and when not to push. Okay. Example, yesterday, I put an offer out on a beautiful home in Los Altos, and it was only been 6 days on the market. He called me the day before, and I called him, hey, so what, we were planning to drop an offer, a really good offer for that matter. It's only 6 days on the market. My client loves it. He's cash heavy, and he goes, Alan, should we go over list? Okay, so this is on the buy side. Now here, think about that question, right? Okay, it's 5 days on the market at that point in time. It is, you have to think, right? As a buyer's agent, can I go under? Yeah, maybe I can go under a little bit, but is that really the right strategy on day 5? Right? It's not. It's not the right strategy. So on day 5, you lowball them. Well, no, even go under a little bit. They're I'm just gonna wait. Okay, maybe they counter. But my clients really want this house, by the way, right? So he's already asking me, do I go over? And I say, no, you don't go over, because you're all cash. And now, mind you guys, Rick, I'm sorry, every time you come here, the numbers get bigger. This is a $7.8 million house. Okay, so this is not going to be a lot of people. There's not a lot of people with all cash at 7.5 million. Okay, so generally, so we're in a good position, right? But I also don't want to. I told him we could go under a little bit. He goes, Alan, actually, I'm thinking about going over. But I told him, hey, look, there's nobody else. Why would we go over, right? You're just negotiating with yourself, right? And we're in a pretty powerful position, right? You got all cash. We're closing in 14 days. You've got 10 mil total, right? You're in a good spot. And it's new home construction, so they don't even have the final yet until Friday. So let's just go list, right? I really do want to go under, but I don't want to tell my buyer what to do, right? They are in control. They love this house. You never want to tell them what to do. They're willing to pay list and more. So don't try to go under and try to get them another deal, because that's just if that blows up in your face, you're screwed, right? If you insult the seller or whatever, it's not your call, right? So we went list.
Hi, Nathan. This is Sheila. I'm calling on the vacant unit.
Somebody mute, please. So unless you're asking me a question, sorry. Okay. So in my case, I have a pretty good hand, but I am asking for a 10-day contingency, because I've had a lot of bad experiences with new home construction like this from a private developer. So I want to do all my diligence. And I told my buyer that. I said, I'm sorry, I know you love this house. I'm going to be extra paranoid, because I have 2 clients suing a builder right now. I'm not saying this guy is like that, but I'm basically sending all the plans to my structural engineer, the civil, the structure, the soils report. I'm going to have him read it. I'm going to have him come. I'm going to have him look and check the house. Okay. Because I'm paranoid. I have 2 lawsuits going on right now with my buyers are suing the sellers. Nothing we could have done, by the way. It was just poor construction, right? And so I'm asking for a 10-day contingency, which I know is not great. And this is the same guy who's going, hey, can you bring it down to 7, right? He was nibbling. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it. Right? And so I'm going in that way. Now, the seller, he called me that day 5. He said, I'm going to talk to my seller. He might He might set a date for Thursday. I kind of know how he is. He's an engineer. He's, last house I sold for him, he was regretting taking the preemptive. So I'm going to set a date of Thursday. Well, how many disclosures do you have about? Well, I got 3. I got 2 that are, hey, let me know if somebody writes. And then I've got you, who you guys seem very serious. I'm like, yeah, we are interested, right? And so he calls me the next day. He actually meets us at the house, show us the house. And then I said, so what's the offer plan? He goes, well, my seller decided. And he did ask me, so what's your situation? Loan, cash, or go cash? So he knows we're in a good spot. So now he backs off. He goes, you know what? Talk to my seller. He doesn't want to basically, he didn't say it in so many words, but he basically doesn't want to scare us away, right? He's like, I don't want folks to think that there's a ton of competition or be concerned about that. So we'll take them as they come. He's basically saying, Alan, write your offer, right? Because he doesn't have anything else in his hand. He knows we like the house. Obviously, we came for a second look. He knows we have cash. He knows I'm a good agent. Everything's lining up, right? I'm asking good questions. I sent him a bunch of questions. I said, hey, I just want to let you know I've had a couple of bad experiences with builders. I trust you. I trust your seller, but I just have to ask these questions to do my due diligence. And this seller appreciated that, actually. He liked the questions. And so everything's just driving, right? So, but you notice what happened here, right? I'm in a pretty good position, so I'm not going to give everything away. I'm writing a pretty darn good offer, okay? But I'm not going to give everything away because I still need to protect my client, but this is a good offer. My client wanted to write 14 days on contingency. And I told her, you know what, that's a little long. So I'd rather get my inspectors out faster. So it looks more like 10 is fairly palatable, right? But if I write 14, that's just too long, right? She goes, okay, fine. So this is, and now they wanted 7, but I mean, we're closing in 14. Like, what else do you want, right? So this is a pretty good offer. But on his side, he didn't have any other chips, right? He didn't have anything else, right? A quote that somebody said was, a bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush, right? You have an offer in hand, you work with it, right? People talk all the time. Oh, yeah. I might write an offer, and it doesn't show up, right? So you have to deal with what's in front of you. Now, again, he's probably calling the other, 2 disclosures. That's his job. See if he could drum up a little bit more. If he's able to drum up a little more, then suddenly we need to be offering a little bit more money, right? Most likely, or shortening our time periods. But if there's nobody else, why would I go so strong, right? Why would I write a non-contingent offer when there's nobody on the other side? That's why when you sell homes, you encourage everybody to write an offer, because buyers change as soon as there's competition. This is just human nature. If there's nobody, I'm not gonna, go strong, right? Why do I need to? I don't have to. I'm going to write a boring, weak offer, right? I'm going to leave my contingencies open. I'm going to go under list price. I'm going to go at list price. I'm not going to go over list price. But as soon as there's another competitor, that's when things change. Now here, how does it work? You as a listing agent, you need to be careful how you push, okay? Remember that house I told you about in Sunnyvale? I did what I did. I called everybody, but really I was focused on three agents. There was one agent at 2.5, one agent at 2.6, and one agent that came in at 2.7. I called all the agents. The 2.5 agent came up to 2.55. The 2.6 agent came up to 2.65. I asked for their final and best, okay? I called the number 1 agent, and she never got back to me. And it was really weird. I couldn't reach her. When your offers are due and you have an offer, you answer your phone, right? I mean, we have a rule at my house we try to follow. No phones at dinner. But except on offer days when I'm having an offer out, the phone is on because I need to answer that questions that they have, right? Is your client willing to go up 5K, 10K? That phone needs to be on. This lady, I could not reach her. I had to text her, beg her to call me. I'm like, what's going on here? So when I did call her, I told her about what's going on. I said I had 4 offers and all that. So she had an option, but she did nothing. Okay. Which to me was a sign that, I don't know what was going on, but she was tapped out or something. She never got back to me. So I presented these offers to my clients, and this is the client that really wanted 2.8. Okay. And he was, I was expecting 2.8. Blah, blah, blah. I was expecting more. And I showed him how I pushed everybody. And so now this is when the seller gets greedy, right? The seller goes, I think that number offer, they've got more money. They've got more money. They've been looking for a long time. They've got more in them. Alan, go back to them. And I said, hold on a second here. Hold on 1 second. because my advice would have been take that offer. Don't mess with them because your next best offer is $50,000 less. Okay, $50,000 less. That's your next best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Okay, you mess with this 2.7, you lose $50,000. Okay, you lose $50,000. So I paused and I told him that. I said, look, are you sure you want to do this? I already gave her an option. She never came back to me. Are you sure you want to push them? Because our next alternative is 2.65 and I already pushed them and they can't go anymore. And they said, yeah, let's do it. So then they said, let's write it, should we write it up? I said, you know what? Let's play this a little differently. Instead of writing it up, let me just talk to her, like Mark, right? Let's have a conversation the old school way. So I call her. Well, I call her, she didn't answer. I text her, she finally calls me back. Strange lady, I don't understand. Don't be like this, please. Answer your darn phone if you're gonna be a realtor. She calls me back and I again, I have to bluff now. I don't want to do this, okay? But I have to bluff because I don't feel like I have a strong position, but I have to do what's good for my client. So I bluff. So that, hey, I just want to let you know, we've got so 4 offers, all really good. You are neck to neck with this other offer. But my client really likes your client's family. I just want to ask you and your buyers, what is your final and best offer? Let me know. That's all. That's all I wanted to know, right? I left it open, right? I didn't want to counter them 50, right? And I got to tell you, it was weird. I mean, it's not weird. You kind of know. And usually you get back quickly. 15 minutes pass, 30, an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It's 8:30 already. I'm going, yeesh. Something's wrong, right? Again, this business is a lot about EQ. You got to read the room. If somebody really wants the house, they would have got back pretty fast, right? So I, again, try to call her, no answer, text her. She finally calls me back about like 9 o'clock. She goes, hey, Alan, when you guys came back to us for more money, it opened up the can of worms. My client got really offended. And then they started wondering, did they really want the house? Blah, blah, blah. You should go with the other offer. Right? We lost $50,000 in 2 hours. Okay, in 2 hours. Now, again, I don't know what would have happened. We might have signed this offer. They might have had cold feet tomorrow. Okay. But what I didn't like was that we created our own problem on that one, right? We tried to be greedy. We went for something that wasn't there. If you guys play poker, right? When you have 4 cards on showing, if you're playing Hold'em, and you're kind of chasing something like a straight or a flush or something to that effect, or a full house or whatever you're chasing, and you push all your chips in to bet on that last card and it doesn't come, that's exactly what happened here, right? Well, in this case, they put $50,000 of chips, and luckily they had an alternative, right? In this case, in poker, let's say you have another, $50,000 in your pocket, so you can keep playing the game. That's great, but they lost $50,000 in 2.5 hours. How horrible is that? When you had it in the bag, if you just signed the bloody thing, they might have been fine, but you messed with them, right? And some buyers, yes, are motivated, and other buyers are finicky, right? They get offended. And so now, if I really did have 2 at 2.7 and I wanted to push them and it didn't go, then that's fine. I didn't lose anything. Or if it was a little bit closer. So I gave up my sellers. You can tell they were upset, and they were upset at themselves because I didn't want to do this, right? I told them, hey, you sure you want to do this? So they go, well, let's call the other one. So I called the other one. I would say, hey, same story, right? But I got to be careful. I just want to let you. I just want to check. Do your clients have, I said it's kind of tight. Is there any more you guys can go? Let me know, and just let me know. Let me know, yes or no. That's all. But this agent, I know he was getting back really fast. He got back, and then he said, the wife yelled at me and said, "No way, we are done. No way, we are done." And so we went with that one. So again, poker, right? Real estate is a poker game. You have a strong hand, then you should push. You can push. You don't have a strong hand, you don't push. Sometimes you bluff. Yes. Sometimes you bluff. If I knew, let's say this agent, okay, the number one agent, if I knew that there was a baby on the way, they've been looking for 20 houses and they're sick of it. We have a client yesterday that lost again. We've been working with them for 5 years. I mean, they might be more motivated, right? I might push harder on that one, just to inch out that little bit, right? Again, assuming that I had them tied. If I knew that buyer really, really, really wanted it. But I always call the agent, hey, just want to check, does your client have any more room? And then you listen. The other lady didn't respond, so I kind of knew already. I told them, she never responded to me. I don't think they got any more room. Oh, no, I think they do. Okay. And then on the other people you call, you go, oh, yeah, we might have a little bit more room. Maybe a little, not much, but a little. Or some might say, you know what, we've got room. My client really wants this house. They want to win. All right. Again, Mark mentioned it. Have the agent talk. And that really, really helps the situation. All right, let's see. Yeah, and poker is an art. And you guys should play more poker because it is.
I want to share one story, Alan, about this negotiating. I was in transit from Florida to California, and the offers were due that night. And I was in between one playing cashing another. And I said to the agent, I have an all cash offer. I know that the offers are due today. I can't, and I'm a sole agent. I don't have a team. So I said to her, you won't be disappointed in my offer. Can you wait until the morning when I get there? I will prepare the offer. She said, well, this guy is really hot. And she gave me all the stories, and she was a top agent, but nobody knows me usually. Usually nobody knows me. So I said, you won't be disappointed if you want to. I didn't tell her the price. I told her it's all cash, could close in 21 days. And she took the risk of this other guy having to hold off at least until noon of the next day till I got there. And then, of course, I got the offer. So
Yeah.
Sometimes, even when it's an all cash offer, and even if you're in good shape, a deadline is not always a deadline. You have to negotiate a deadline as well. That's it.
Well, that's the thing. On a deadline, just because you have 2 or 3 disclosures out, sometimes that's not enough for the deadline, right? I mean, you could have 0 offers. So sometimes, I mean, again, in this market, we know if it's a single family home, you're probably going to get multiples. It's fine. If you price it right. If you overpriced it, then no, right? But under townhome condo, not as confident, actually, right? I know the market's picking up, but not every product's moving. So you actually kind of need to wait a little bit. And when you see action, like we had a condo in San Jose that I wasn't sure about, but by the weekend, there were 10 disclosures out and everyone's calling, asking about dates. That's a pretty good sign, right? So we set a date and we went with it. But sometimes you need to let the weekend pass before you make a decision on it. But again, yeah, agents do sometimes they bluff you, right, Rick? I mean, and you have to sometimes you don't know, right? And you do know. Let's say they go, oh yeah, I've got this all cash offer, blah 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 blah. You go, well, I guess I can't compete with that. Then you just back off, and then they call you tomorrow. Guess what? They're bluffing, right? And you have them because you might be the only one now, right?
Right.
So it's a game. You have to read the person in front of you, and
It's a game.
it's a game. Real estate's a game. Real estate's a poker game. I had I don't do this on purpose, but sometimes I have to bluff a little, right? I mean, to get the best out of somebody. And I did this on Zoom actually before pandemic. I had 2 clients there. One was in Mountain View, one was San Francisco. So we did a Zoom, and then I said, "You guys want to see how the sausage is made?" He goes, "Okay." So I put the offers in front of us, and then said, "Well, this one's way behind, and this one's really good, but I sense that these guys got more room because they really want it. All right, stay on the phone. I'll stay on the Zoom." So I put my phone here, and then I tell them, "Yeah, you guys are neck to neck," and they weren't even close. We're not even close. You guys are neck to neck, and then. But let me know what your final and best is. I mute the phone and I'm kind of chuckling because I'm going, Alan, what are you doing? But I knew they were going to bite because they really wanted it. They really wanted it. They told me as much. And so, the lady said, "Yeah, Alan, we'll go whatever, 25K more, whatever." So, all right. I said, "Well, I'll go back and I'll talk to my seller and I'll let you know." So pause, hang up, and then my clients are just baffled, like, "Oh my God, Alan, wow, this is how it's done." I'm like, "Well, sometimes." I'm like, "If you can push, then yes." Now, some of you are going, "Alan, this is lying." it's not lying. I mean, you're doing the best you can for your client. You know, you're not exactly. It's a game, right? It's a game, and you have to be careful, right? You're not. You do have another alternative if you need to, right? But it's a poker game. You have to. Sometimes you bluff. Sometimes you go all in. Sometimes you're dancing in the middle, trying to get. In poker, there's another move where you have a good hand, but nobody else is playing, right? So you kind of, I don't know what it's called, Donato, but you're just kind of fishing people in to play with you. So you just kind of put in a little bit of chips and act like you don't really have anything, right? So that people can come in and join the game, right? The same thing. Sometimes if you only have one offer, then you play it down, right? You go, well, yeah, I'll get one offer, but I don't really love it. So bring your offer in, right? So you get people to come in and play, and the more people that play, then suddenly, you know, people get more motivated. Or you're leveraging everyone else's offer to push that one offer you have in your hand, right? So that's part of the game too, because if you only have one offer, they're not going to move. You have 2, 3, 4 offers, and people go, oh gosh, I really want this house, and I don't want to lose it, so I'm willing to go stronger. So you might be kind of fishing people in to play with you too, right? So all part of the game. Okay, some other questions here. Yeah, the certified negotiations class is a good class. Hilda, you might need to bring in the second one for the master certified negotiations, unless you just do the regular one. Suing the sellers, yeah.
I'm so anxious that they force you to take an offer that you know is not right. She says, we waited 3 weeks and we're taking this offer. And her family would say, Mom, this is great. And I'm saying, this is wrong offer. But they pressured me so much that I had to take an offer that I knew was wrong, because the seller said, and her family knows better than me. So that was it. You know, sometimes you have to take an offer that isn't good. And even your best knowledge isn't good enough because they have family members who know more.
Well, if you do detect that there are a lot of other decision makers, they need to be in the room at the same time you're reviewing these things so they can hear it themselves. That's the way to solve that problem. The phantom buyer or the phantom seller. Okay, some of the questions. Yeah, when we can get back to it, we will play poker and I'll show you how it applies to real estate. All right, 2 buyers that are currently suing the sellers. Yeah, so the first one was a leaky shower stall. Actually, all the showers were leaking. They weren't going well. The builder refused to fix it, claimed bankruptcy. And this has been more of my client trying to, I don't know, she's spending more money probably chasing this down than just fixing it. And so this husband has hid money all over the place, money laundering, and then the wife's still on title as well for the seller. And it's been a disaster. I think my buyer pretty much has given up and handed it to the FBI for money laundering at this point. So not sure that one was worth it, but it was, for her, it was more about principle than anything. The second one was the builder used the wrong wrong foundation for the type of soil, causing my client to lose about $600,000 in value because he was sick of it, didn't want to deal with him. And so he sold the house for probably $600K less than he would have on the market. He just didn't want to deal with it anymore. And he's suing him for the damages. The seller had an LLC. His partner withdrew all the money from the LLC, so they don't even have any money to fix anything. So they're counter-suing each other. It's a disaster over there. Luckily, my seller can afford it, so he just didn't want to live in the house anymore. Structural engineer Lupita, I'll ping you later. All right. Any questions? Any more poker examples that I might have missed?
Oh, I'm going to tell you one. When you see a disclosure report and they say a foundation crack, I now am not afraid of them, because most people run away as soon as they see it. And then they find out this crack has been there 60 years. And the chances of another 60 years before the crack becomes an issue is minimal. And I learned that, and I'm sharing it with everyone, because don't run away from a hairline crack when you see foundation issue. Investigate if you choose, but from my experience now, I am not afraid of them. So
Sheila, be careful. I've seen property inspectors take a picture of one crack and there's actually 8 or 9 cracks.
Well, you have to investigate, but you don't have to run away from it. Like
No, but you should bring somebody to look at it.
Yeah.
If you're going non-contingent. You know what? There's a funny one I saw. It said undermined foundation in one corner of the house. And then I brought my guy to look at it, and it turned out that the house was on stilt, all these little weird little support things.
Post.
Yeah,
Yeah.
little. It wasn't just a post. It was like this weird, like
Concrete.
I don't know what it was. It's like a stand. It was really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was adjustable, but the soil was so expensive that that would only last 5 years. And so, yeah, I would still be careful, Sheila. I think they don't always take pictures of everything. Yeah, that's the thing. And that they say that in the report too, right? Donato, good one, good point. There's a fine line from keeping people in and not scaring them off, right? So the classic one is the one I told you, right? You're playing the game, you have a really good hand, but nobody wants to play, right? So everybody's kind of fishing, right? So they want to see more cards. Now that also depends too, right? So if you get everyone to play, more cards are coming. So suddenly your hand may not be the best hand anymore, right? So you got to be careful with that. So with that strategy, because you just got to be careful. But on the listing agent side, the more offers, the better usually, right? But you don't want to overplay your hand, because if you have one really good hand and you scare them off like my client did, that's bad news, right? That's bad news. So, all right, let's wrap up for today. Any ahas? What are your ahas? You can yell it out if you want. Not too many people are talking. That's fine.
Real estate is a poker game, which I knew, but now I have a name for it. Someone asked me what I do. I say I play poker.
It's a poker game. It takes skill, right? It takes skill to play that game, and it takes skill to play this real estate game.
Proposition value. I'm a poker player, and I don't play poker.
Exactly. All right, what ahas? Jump in. No ahas?
For
Go.
me, I think it's more like organizing myself when writing contracts and educating our clients, I think, in more detail than what I've been doing in the past.
Well,
And
yeah.
I'm a new agent, so I'm in a team. So I think I need to leverage more Harvey, who's my team lead, so I can get that straight.
I mean, everyone's got a different style, okay? But for me, I'm big on teaching, right? So imagine you're a first-time home buyer and you don't know what is going on. And my biggest fear is, with everything going on with these non-contingent offers, that you're dictating what should be done, but the buyer doesn't understand the impact of it. Right? So, for example, you're telling them, yeah, hey, you got to go non-contingent. Hey, you got to do this. And they go, okay, all right. But they don't understand that when there's non-contingent, their deposit's on the line, right? Something happens, they try to back out. They need to understand that, right? You cannot let them walk into a non-contingent offer and not understand what that means. And so most of my buyers will have one training session with me. And after that, they kind of tell you what to do. They know, right? They understand how it works. So you don't need a formal call every single time. But that first offer, I like to train them on it. And make sure you guys, especially the new agents in the room, grab somebody in your cohort and practice, right? Explaining what goes into a contract, price, what's a contingency, what's 3% deposit mean, right? What does liquidated damages mean? What does mediation arbitration mean? Again, go to Mark's contract class. You'll learn a lot about all those things. And a lot of you guys are in, different cohorts and stuff. But yeah, imagine you're a first-time buyer. You need to be educated, right, on everything. What else?
Hey, Alan, this is Rick. I got my hand raised. Before I go into AHA, I just want to share the scenario that I had when that agent was bluffing. Now, if you're a new agent and you're making claims of how many offers you got, and you get somebody like me who knows how to discern lies and somebody making up numbers in this market, yeah, you should believe that they have multiple offers, but in any other market, you have to doubt it. But the way I found out was because the agent did not use sell multiple counter offer. They're very, very keen in making counters. One day they have 6 offers, the next day they have 4 offers. The counter back 120,000, we stayed at a price 60,000 above asking. And so guess what? The third day they got back to us. Oh, we'll accept your offer. So that was really totally unethical. So if you are gonna play this game, you gotta know how to play it right. So with that said, I just want to share my experience with my previous company. My aha is that Alan is one incredible agent. Tao Dang, who did 2.1 GCI back in 2006. I was with the same company for since 2001. Not once did we hear Tao Dang share his information and share his skills and wealth of knowledge, but you listen to Alan, brand new agents, you should be asking more questions. And so the moment that you got with Alan here is just golden. So make use of that. That's my aha.
Thanks, Rick. It's part of our culture, folks. That's why you all here. We don't hide anything. I mean, I want to see amazing agents in our offices and now in the industry. There's just not enough of you. So I'm hoping that this class is just one step in helping you all get there. So what else? What are the ahas? Or questions?
When are you going to teach how to play poker?
Oh, I will. Once we get back from the pandemic, we will probably do a negotiation class around poker. We'll play and then we'll analyze what just happened. We will, but not right now, not with the pandemic. So.
My son is a master poker player, but I always say I disrespect all of that stuff. I don't believe in it, but now I'm going to want to play because I think I'll be good at it.
Well, I'm finding a few already. Donato, also Kenny in our office plays, and then Ali plays. I'm not that great. I'm all right. I mean, I'm better at real estate than I'm at poker. So, but yeah.
I have a question.
Alan, I was going to say, thank goodness for that.
You know, it's a long story. My grandfather gambled our family fortune away, so nobody in my family really has that kind of luck. So we just don't mess with it. Yeah.
Know the line, know the line. But we'll have to have a poker competition.
Yeah, thanks, Hilda. Rick?
My question, Alan, is that you said before it triggered a question about greedy sellers. How do you handle them? What are some things that you bring down to level? What do you tell them? Like, how do you calm them down? And how do you, just have them play fair? Any tips that you may have? Thank you.
Rick, say that again. It was a little choppy.
What I was saying was about it triggered a question about greedy sellers. How do you deal with them? How do you make it play fair? Because obviously, we want to be fair with everyone, but sometimes we deal with these people that just totally have unrealistic expectations after, we bring them to the picture and share them. Okay, this is what you'll probably get because the kind of market is, is very strong for sellers, but some of them is just, how do you level, bring them back down to earth, and how do you make them play fair?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of ways. I mean, number one, if you detect a seller that's completely irrational and just out of their mind, no matter what you do, there's some people like that, right? That they're super stubborn and they're not going to, you may not want to take the listing, but that's up to you. The listing's always good, right? It's always good to have a listing, I suppose. But if you can tell the person's just never going to listen to you or what the market says, you might want to pass, right? But beyond that, I try to reiterate that it's the market.
Okay.
The market dictates price, right? It's not us. We don't dictate price. The agent doesn't dictate price. The seller doesn't dictate price. The buyers in the market dictate the price, end of the day, right? I try to convince them of that. Now, if they're stubborn, at least I try to come up with a hybrid approach, right? So, hey, I think you should list it at 1.9 and see where it goes. And they go, no, I think we should list it at 2.9. Well, then it's okay. Well, again, you need to ask yourself, do you want to deal with this person or not? But you can also say, well, here, let's try your way for 2 weeks. If we're not getting any traffic at all and any interest, you do it my way after that. And that sometimes works. Right? Just you give them their time to do it their way, right? Well, 2 or 3 weeks, right? We'll run it your way, 2 or 3 weeks. If the house is supposed to be worth 2.2, 2.3, and they price it at 2.9, nobody's going to come, right? That's too much. And so that's going to just naturally solve itself. And then they might be, okay, Alan was right. Our showings were really low, right? Things like that. So, but sometimes you got to fire a client. They're just, once you bring all the offers in and they're still hemming and hawing, like I told you, I just gave them options. I'd like, we can run another week, but after that next week, that 2-week time frame, that hot time on the market, people are going to start asking what's wrong with your house. And then the only action after that is we take it off, we rest it for 30 days and we come back and hope things are better in the market for some reason. And do you want to do that? Right. And most sellers, you got to remember, Rick, most sellers get tired too, especially if they live in the house. That's when they get really tired. So. All right. Any more ahas? No more ahas? You guys didn't learn anything today?
I do have a question. How did you keep all cool when all this things were going wrong with those new constructions? How do you handle that?
Well, the new construction actually happened after closing. The first one I wasn't involved. They sued them. I didn't even know, and they're friends of mine. The second one, I was involved because my client, he's a good friend of mine, and he first year, there's settling, there's some crack in the drywall, normal, right? And then I think a year and a half later, cracked again, so they fixed it again. And then 2 years, he pinged me. He said, "Alan, it's cracking again." I said, "You know what? Something's wrong." And so I said, he had an structural inspection done and everything was fine, supposedly. And then that's when I jumped in and said, you know what, let me bring my structural guy. Something's not right, you know? So he opened the hatch and he saw the soil was cracking and expansive. He go, oh no, this is the wrong soil. I'm pretty sure for this type of foundation. And sure enough. So I just try to come from a place of contribution, Lupita. I gave him some lawyers, you know, I gave him the structural guy, a couple structural people. I just try to help, you know. I mean, if he wasn't my client, he probably would have sued me too, right? Maybe my friend, I guess. But I mean, maybe not. There's nothing we could have done. We did inspect the place. You know, you never know, right? If it goes down the lawyer route, they could sue us too. But since we were dialoguing, I just tried to help him best I could. I was always involved. He hired me to sell his place, and I was the one that came up with the idea. I said, well, I mean, if you really, we should give the builder a chance to fix it. But that means you got to stay in the house, and this could take a year. He goes, Alan, I can't. I hate this builder. We hate this house. We're fighting, you know, our marriage. We're fighting. And it's causing us to be really unhappy. And I said, okay, well, then the only option is sell. And I came up with the idea. I said, look, so I hired Fernando, who was, you know, in our office before, to do an appraisal. So can you value this property? And I told him, look, talk to your lawyer. Is this going to work? Could we do an appraisal? And whatever we sell it at, that's your damage. You can sue the builder for your damage. And the lawyer said, yeah. And so, yeah, that's Lupita. That's what I did. I just try to help as much as I can. And it worked out. I sold his house, you know, and then I bought him another home in Dublin. And you know, he updates me all the time on how the lawsuit's going. And he wasn't blaming me. There's nothing I could have done. I mean, if the city doesn't know, how am I supposed to know? It's a private builder, Nancy.
So when you sold the house, you just disclosed everything. That's it.
I disclosed everything and I sold it off market. Because there's nobody in their right mind to sign up with a $400,000 fix on the market. But I had a lot of people look at it. A lot of investors were interested. So, but they ended up getting $2 million. That was the most they would pay. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other ahas or questions?
Who's your structural engineer?
I'll send that over. Why don't you text me? I'll send it over to you.
Okay.
I actually have 3 of them. So you can pick which one.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any more ahas? Anyone learn anything? I'm kind of disappointed. The ahas are kind of low.
Because you covered it so well.
Well, yeah, no, but still, you guys have to have ahas, right?
I have one aha because I think it's a very good metaphor that real estate is a poker game, because I think as any game, there's rules that as a new agent, I have to learn a lot of rules from docs by reading and learn from those seasoned agents. So I really like the summary about this prepare, present, the 3P rules. And I think usually as a new agent, I don't have a lot of chances to know a lot of clients right now. So I still struggling with I can stay calm and quiet, but sometimes I'm not that relaxed. So by knowing this is a game that agent just playing a role to help both buyer and seller, this makes me a little bit relaxed. And by just gapping their expectation, then I can see the deal close, then it's a reward to the agent. Then I think that's maybe the result of the game, a happy ending for the game.
You know, Karen, it's a good point. As a new agent, I understand why you're nervous, because you're new, you're not quite sure. There are a lot of places that you can make a mistake, right? I told one of my mentees, as the new agent, you guys fake it till you make it. You just have to. There's no choice. You're not going to know everything. And if you don't know everything, don't fake that part of it, right? But just fake the confidence, right? Be confident no matter what. If you don't have the answer, you go find it. Right? You know, I don't have the answer right now, but I will get the answer for you shortly. I'll get back to you. Call Mark, you call your mentors, right? You go get the answer, right? And tons of agents in this office will support you, or both offices. So just bear that in mind, that I know you're new, you're not going to know everything, and it's okay, right? It's okay. But yeah, just be cool, calm, collected, because that's just what it's going to take. So,
thank you, Ella.
No, thank you, Karen. Any other ahas or questions?
I got one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Nick Rowe here.
Hey,
I really like that make the pie bigger, because I think a lot of times we get focused on the price or the terms, and then just figuring out other ways we can bring value to the negotiation. I thought that was a good one.
That is correct. Make the pie bigger. That's from Holly Schroth. UC Berkeley executive education. I have to give her credit for that. Make the pie bigger. Make the pie bigger. So that's it's in anything, right? In anything, right? If my daughter says, Dad, I want an iPhone. I want an iPhone. Well, why do you want an iPhone, right? Why? Let's talk about this. Well, I want to talk to my friends. Well, okay, well, maybe you could talk to them on Google Hangouts, right? You're on there anyways. Why do we have to get you an iPhone for that? You got to be creative. You got to think outside the box, right? It's just like, oh, I want an iPhone. I want an iPhone. Well, why? Why do you need it? Ask the questions. How can I earn it, right? Could I get something back for it, right? And things like that. So there's different ways to answer that question. Yeah, Alice, good question. Let's see, Nancy. Thanks, Nancy. Alice, yeah, you're correct. A lot of agents don't get this training. I see a lot of agents out there in the world just lost. I mean, I see it in their offers. I see it in the quality of their offers. I see it in the way they present the offers. I see it in the way they talk to me. I get a lot of agents that call me bro this, bro that. I'm not your bro. I don't know who you are. I'm not your bro, right? I don't even know you, right? If I know you, okay, maybe, right? But not even that, right? You're in a work context. Stop broing me. It's just like, be professional, right? I mean, there's just so many of that casualness in this business, and it reflects in their work, and it shows me that they're not great agents, right? And I'd hate to judge a book by its cover, but definitely being professional, you can't go wrong. Right? Yeah, Alice, you can always do that as well. You can always pick, give them 3 and have them pick. So, all right. Any other last questions? I'm going to end the meeting soon. For those of you in Ignite, of course, you need keep adding your contacts, your conversations, your handwritten notes, and previewing homes a little bit hard right now in this market, but if you can, do it. My business is still 90% referral based, and it's from the database that I run in Command. And just keep adding to it. I have conversations daily with people, and handwritten is if I need to do more of. I don't do enough of that, but we do a lot of that. So make sure you're doing all your script practices and your lead gens and all that good stuff. So, all right, no other questions. I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.